Happy New Year, everyone. Dr. Ridhwaan Haffajee, welcome to Joburg, man.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here. A privilege to be here as well.
Thank you so much.
Sing and share some big company sat on before me. So
Do you come to Joburg often or?
on a need-to basis.
Yeah.
Like this is a need-to basis. Beyond this, we kind of fly in and fly out.
You're based in Cape Town, eh?
Based in Cape Town, originally from Durban though.
Yeah. How long have you been in the Cape?
Since undergrad. I think 2007.
Sure, okay.
So I took a break for ComServe, but then I've pretty much been in Cape Town.
So are you a Cape Townian now? Not really.
It depends who I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking to family, no, I'm still on a working holiday in Cape Town.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking to a Cape Townian, then I'm a Cape Townian.
But you haven't got an accent, I must say. You sound very like us.
Okay, that's reassuring.
I might have asked you this before, but you're a DHS old boy, aren't you?
Horsefly, yes.
I recognize you from school. Did you know me in high school? Or of me, at least.
Big boys don't talk to the small boys.
Wait, who's older here?
When did you call it?
2005.
I was 2006.
Okay, so you're just after me, right?
Year after, yeah.
Okay, well, good to see you, man. Welcome.
Which primary school you go to?
I was at Clifton. Yeah.
Okay.
And you?
Priya West.
Okay, the Durban boys are, sorry, Yak.
Yeah, you guys carry on. Sure.
Yeah,
Go get a room.
I was thinking about this when I was driving, guys. I know it's a very random thing, but who do you think is like the most famous doctor in South Africa? It's just a random question. It has nothing to do with Ridhwaan.
I was going to say Prof. Glenda Gray, which we just spoke about just now.
What do you?
But then when you say famous, you mean in what circles?
Just well known anywhere, like popular circle, like not academic or not clinical, just if you mention their name. I mean, the names that came to mind for me were Dr. Nandipa Magudumana, and then it's either Dr. Kumalo or Dr. Shebeleza or Dr. Duda, but that's just a joke, yeah.
Dr. Marty.
No, but yeah, I don't know.
You missed the joke.
Yeah. I don't know why I even thought about that or even decided to bring it up, but yeah, whatever.
I think Dr. Nandipa does take it, eh?
Yeah.
Who is she? What does she do?
Yeah, you just go watch Netflix, you'll find out. Huh? So
she's Thabo Besta's girlfriend.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ridhwaan, what do you do? You're a prosthodontist, right? What do prosthodontists do?
Yeah, it's always a tough one, eh?
Yeah. And I'm asking as a layperson.
A prosthodontist is basically a specialist dentist. Play a role in the planning and execution of advanced treatment and rehabilitations, which involve the maxillofacial structures. So the average patient wouldn't know that we're not just involved in the mouth, we're involved with facial structures, basically eyes, zygomas, ears. I normally tell patients that if you don't know what's a prosthodontist, that's a good thing. The day that you know what's a prosthodontist, you know that there's trouble, basically.
Yeah, and my interpretation of that is prosthodontists exist when dentistry has failed, and then you guys make it look like it was intentional, like there was a point to it. Am I correct?
Well, something like that. Yeah, it was meant. It was always going to fail at some point.
Because have you ever worked on as a prosthodontist? Have you ever worked on a vital tooth, a tooth that's alive?
We have. But the strange thing is that now and this is the cool thing about media marketing, online marketing, that you now get patients who will come to us not just from referrals, but will come to the practice as first-line presentation. And then they'll come in with the usual, I like my teeth whiter or straighter, or am I a candidate for veneers? So it is reassuring that messages are getting out there and patients are seeking information from different sources. What I normally tell patients is that if we primarily earn our living from the failure of dentistry, you don't need that veneer, don't get it done. And aesthetics is short-lived. I don't think it's vanity, but it's short-lived. It makes you feel good about yourself for the first 10 years. And then beyond that, you end up in those ages of functionality. And when your complications kick in, suddenly that perfect smile didn't mean that much anymore.
You know why I ask what a prosthodontist does is because, I'm just thinking of myself growing up, or anybody in general, you say, I need to go to the dentist, right? You never say, I need to go to a prosthodontist. But because it's not a commonly known specialty, not like an orthodontist.
Or a maxillofacial surgeon.
Yeah, even that. So, but it's interesting to hear that you're saying that patients are coming to you directly now.
I think it's because of the practice as well. I think prosthodontists and your periodontist fall in that same little category where they don't normally say, I'm going to see my periodontist. Now we start seeing those changes, which is great because this is the idea of what we want patients to be more informed and educated and seek out referrals or seek out contacts themselves directly.
And is Cape Town the place to be? Would you ever move to Joburg or anywhere else?
I like Cape Town.
Yeah.
I enjoy living in Cape Town. I'll admit that I do miss living in Durban, though. I think forever I'll always be a Durbanite. You grow up in that space that everything relates to you. It's home. The way the people are, the roads, the way the people talk, it's home. So as much as I've been in Cape Town all these years, there's still a part that'll always fantasize over life in Durban and what life in Durban could be. I don't think you ever really get rid of it.
For just to give the guests some context, that part is still with you. In fact, you brought it. It's sitting in the other room there. He rocks up to the practice just now with I think that's about a 60-liter Thule bag, but it's empty. But he's going to pick up chow from Durban, samosas, and
yeah, because we start fasting in a couple of weeks' time, so you need to get your stock.
Yeah, so that's the Durban in you that will always be
there. Yeah.
But if I can ask more about the prosthodontic part of it, look, even when I was growing up, not growing up, I meant like growing up professionally as a dentist, my interpretation of prosthodontics was that it was just removable appliances, just dentures. That's all I knew, because as part of our curriculum and specialization, the prosthodontic department would just train you to do RPDs and full dentures. But you mentioned just now, like, is that within your scope of practice? Like, if someone comes to you, they're like, I need a full mouth rehab, will you like do veneers on them?
100%. If it's necessary. I think it's also just that phase of life that we're in. At the varsity, the only contact undergrads generally have, unless you one of those more eager, enthusiastic undergrads who wants to know a little bit more, the only time that you meet the pros registrars are in either your Crown and Bridge clinic or in your pros clinic, because we have to rotate and supervise students in those sessions. But you get those students that will filter their way up and start asking more. But more often than not, it's surprising the number of dentists that qualify and are not fully familiar with what a prosthodontist is. You get a lot of dentists that don't even know there's an oral pathologist out there. So I think perhaps, I think it also is changing. I'm obviously very familiar with UWC. I know now they get us more involved with undergrad training. We give them lectures in implantology. So we do play a role in their lecture system, so they start picking up things as well. I think in the same light, once again, we can talk about this quite a bit. Instagram, Facebook, social media plays a big role in also dental students becoming more aware of what happens in dentistry beyond the faculty. Historically, we only knew dentistry as the four walls of Tygerberg or Wits or Pretoria or wherever we studied. So now at least students now are aware a little bit beyond that. It does give the university lectures a bit more of a headache, because students can sometimes acquire information before they've got to that stage of learning. But it's a good problem to have, I feel. Yeah.
You were speaking of social media. Like 2 days ago, or maybe even yesterday, I saw one of these big dental companies put a post on Instagram, and it's your face there with a mic on your cheek, and it says, you're going to be speaking here. I can't even remember exactly where. You do this quite often. You go and speak and you train people and teach, right?
Yeah, I'm quite privileged and blessed that my career has taken me into that field as well, teaching and learning. Massively passionate over it, but there's so many little nuances about it that I feel that the average practitioner in the audience may not always be aware of. I think from an ethics standpoint, you know everything about this, that teaching is a privilege, but it's also a massive responsibility. In essence, you are lecturing for an hour. You're giving an audience a snapshot of a highly complex or possibly a highly complex procedure that can be life-changing to a patient in 1 hour. To do justice to something like that is impossible. You can't even say it's difficult. It's impossible. And the way that message needs to be relayed in both informative education, but also responsible. Because you also don't want, in my opinion, I wouldn't want someone to attend a single-hour lecture and feel like, you know what, I can go back and restore an implant. I think I would look at these type of CPD events, or you're giving an hour lecture, as give that general dentist or give the audience that little glimpse of what is available and what they can learn, and then use that lecture or use that seminar to go and acquire more information in a more formal sense.
So like to spark an interest, and then
100%.
Yeah.
And responsible learning.
Correct,
I mean,
100%.
it's informative teaching, but it's responsible learning.
Yeah.
You show me something, I'm not just going to go try it out randomly.
Unfortunately, it does happen. And and the only people that are harmed in this are patients. I think with that, for me personally, the selfish part in it is the more that I teach, the more that I learn.
Yeah.
As much as I'm passionate over teaching and sharing, and also for the profession to grow, I love that concept of village growth. We all support each other. But there was that old saying that if you want to learn something, read about it. If you want to understand something, write about it. And if you want to master something, teach it. And I know one of my big character defects is that I perhaps can get stuck in that conveyor system. I want to be at the gym. I want to run. I want to be at work. I want to be everywhere, but I still need to be the best possible clinician for my patients. And how do I keep current with that? Give a lecture in a month's time. I have to read what's relevant and what's new now. Otherwise, we end up on that same, you're not relevant anymore. You're not current with information. So I guess it's beneficial two ways. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're the type that gives these lectures and trains people, right? Which just, it automatically gives me the impression, and it could be right or wrong. It gives me the impression that growing up from a lighty days, I think you wanted to be in dentistry. That's just, when I look at you, I think of that. Is that true, or what did you want to do?
Good observation.
That's so judgmental.
Honestly, like if I see you're at the peak, right? I mean, you're getting there. You're quite high up, you know?
I don't think I'm up.
I wouldn't say peak. Look, I don't want to, but people come to you for advice. They do.
I think I probably decided I want to do dentistry in grade 11. I still remember the conversation with my mom and dad. I think they were more relieved than anything else. Like, okay, at least this guy wants to do something with his life. Yeah. Because I think up until grade 11, I wasn't too sure. And I asked me why it happened. I have no idea. It was never medicine. Wasn't anything else. And I think if I didn't get into dentistry, I would have been an extremely unhappy individual. I love what I do. And then my mom...
You unpack that first, because no one just says, I want to be a dentist and nothing else. What influenced that?
Well, no, we'll get there. It'll come up.
I honestly can't say it because I've been asked this question a few times. My mom's brother's a dentist, but I don't think he played an influential role in me wanting to become...
Don't worry, we'll figure it out in this.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, this is a safe space.
Yeah.
So,
just for the record, I don't think you look like a dentist. You look cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No offense, dentists.
But yeah, so, and then that was grade 11. And then matric, you do the usual story of applying.
But wait. Take us back to like your earliest, I'll tell you my earliest memory of what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to be a truck driver. Like,
that sounds cool as well. That sounds cool.
I used to have a toy truck and pull it around, and I remember telling people I want to be a truck driver when I grow up.
Transporting what? Like
just goods.
Just drive trucks. I don't care what's in the back. I just drive a truck. Okay?
So what's your earliest memory? I mean, if we had to go and ask your parents, maybe they'll be able to tell us, I guess. But did they ever tell you that you said you wanted to be a policeman or a fireman or something?
Nothing. Like, it's weird. If I think back, for me, it was pretty much, I won't say I enjoyed school, but in primary school.
Okay, well, where about you from?
Sydenham, Overport.
Okay, I know Sydenham.
My parents still live there, just off Keel Road. I kind of just went about life.
Do you play sports?
Yeah, cricket. I love cricket.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all have these boyhood dreams that one day we'll represent the country, but we know it's never going to happen.
So did you have that? Not everybody has that, eh?
Really?
Yeah, there was literally yesterday I was watching a video about the psychology of people who are not interested in sport at all. And I never watched the whole video.
I can't relate to people like that. I struggle with it.
Yeah, it's apparently those of us that are into sport, it taps into the whole tribalistic community mentality, which is a primitive thing. So I didn't get to watch the whole video, but they said that the people that are not that into sport.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I think you're doing a good job. You're unpacking this.
Yeah.
So in primary school, I think I was very average, if not below average student at school.
Academically.
Enjoyed my sport and go about my business. Go to school, do my thing, write my tests, come home. I had no aspiration of getting an A or an A plus or whatever it is. It wasn't even the most important thing in my mind. My mind was just go about my days. Just enjoy being in school. I think my parents had it pretty easy with my brother and I. We kind of went about our business. We didn't rebel the system. Go to school, do your thing, come home, do your homework, go to sleep and move along with life. What's the point of fighting the system? You're never going to win. And then came grade 7. We're finishing primary school and I really wanted to go to DHS. I I come from a working class family. My mom and dad work very, very hard. My dad still works very hard. So we don't come from what we would call privilege. But I would like to say that I was not short of anything growing up. But I wanted to go to DHS. And DHS, the fees, as we know, were high. But my dad and mom, being the people that they were, wanted to give us the best that they could and opportunities that they perhaps didn't get themselves.
Wait, sorry, why DHS? That's also very specific, like dentistry.
Because Lance Klusener went there.
Okay. Yeah.
Cricket
There we go.
aspirations,
There
yeah.
we go. Yeah. And then came the first scam of life.
Yeah.
So we went to the open days for all the high schools. And then I remember it was in also grade 7, we went to George Campbell. And my dad told me, I think you probably will be good at this, like technical stuff. And I think he was right. Well, he is right. Me being a prosthodontist, every time I pick up a torque wrench, I think about my old man. But it wasn't in my head. Like, I want to go to DHS. Like George Campbell, I can see it. I can see myself plumbing, electrical. I can see myself being a fitter and turner. And I think I would have enjoyed it. But I wanted to play sport. And DHS was that place that I thought I wanted to play sport at. And my best friend from primary school was going there as well. So my dad said, here's the agreement. I'll send you to DHS, but you need to give me results. The current results that you give me don't warrant me putting you into the school. So this is our first trade. And I think he obviously knew I wasn't going to make it for the Proteas team. But this was a good leverage for me to start working at school. And from there on in, it started growing where I started focusing on my education because I want to be in the school again next year and next year. And I think what also happened, which I didn't realize at that time, the friends that I made and the friends that I kept were pretty intelligent guys. I'm still friends with them, really good folks. And I think that was also that motivation and that inspiration that, just keep working and you hang around these guys and learn the way they're learning. And you go about playing your sport and having fun. Wasn't A team, wasn't first team, but it was just having a bash. And that's how it eventually came to be. And eventually now I'm in grade 11. I'm thinking, I think I want to do this dentistry thing. This sounds cool.
Don't laugh. It's a genuine question. I mean, had you been to the dentist quite a bit as a kid? Who was your dentist?
My uncle. He's known as Mota, Dr. Vyad. His practice is still in town, Durban, Lawn Street.
How's he related to you?
He's my mom's brother. Mom's brother. He's my Goramaji. I do have a dental story, but I don't like talking about it because it becomes that cliche. Because this happened to you, you became a dentist. Like, it's nothing like that.
So just tell us and we'll decide.
I was walking on one of those rolled up carpets. My aunt just moved into a house. She had a new carpet and I was just walking onto this rolled up thing. And obviously I wasn't supposed to do that. And what happens? I fell. And I hit my face on the floor and my 1121 cracked in half.
Wow.
And then
should have went into the carpet industries and like made sure they don't roll it up anymore. Fold it.
Here we go. And it wasn't painful. I remember crying after I spat out those fragments.
What age?
Probably primary school.
Okay.
Obviously my uncle wasn't around. He was away that time. So I saw a locum, put a little splint for me, built up those teeth with composite. And that was pretty much the most that I had with dental treatment. And then obviously I replaced those composites with ceramics later on.
Yourself?
No, it was in varsity. I was in third year. I had a 5th-year student do it for me.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the earliest recollection that I have of dentistry. My uncle did premolar extractions for me as a kid, so I've never needed orthodontics. And I think moving along with life, there was nothing too cool about it.
This is jump back to the DHS story. So did you know Yash or not?
No, I didn't know. Yeah,
you were a prefect in school. I don't understand that. How would you not know him?
It's a big school.
I remember. So
you can admit
let's
if
say,
you say you did know him.
Know the face, know the name, but in school you largely hang around with the second formers are together, the grade 9s are together, the grade 10s, and I probably just didn't cross paths. And at that time, you kind of want to keep your head down and hope no one makes eye contact with you. Because if someone makes eye contact with you, it's only bad news.
Because, I mean, Yash is my cousin, right? You know that.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I know most of his friends, and I'm from Pietermaritzburg, but I knew most of his friends, and his friends all know me. Like, we still communicate with each other on Instagram, and we're that far apart. That's why I find it strange. Like, you're just one grade below.
One grade, just weird.
Know him.
And the funny thing is, I also went to DHS for cricket. Like,
you were in Clifton, you said, yeah.
Yeah, I was in Clifton, and then I wanted to be a cricket player, like Fani de Villiers. was when I was.
Fani de Villiers.
Yeah, see, you won't remember because
That's
He used to hold the
interesting.
ball. That's why he's making
Yeah.
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
Fani de Villiers used to
Oh,
have a very interesting,
unique, yeah.
unique bowling action.
It was from behind his
Yes, yeah.
torso. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I used to play cricket on the street in the circle
You were Fani de Villiers.
in Tongaat, I used to be Fani de Villiers, and I used to play with all the big
So you
boys.
traveled from Tongaat down to DHS?
Oh, no, we ended up moving.
Okay.
But initially, it used to be Tongaat to Clifton, and my dad would take me and drop me off and all that sort of stuff. But
Our parents did a lot for us, eh?
yeah.
Proper sacrifice.
I wanted to be a cricketer. And then I slowly lost interest as I got into DHS. It's like the dream to become a cricketer seems to die for some people at that school. I mean, what happened to you? When did you stop?
I don't think it died.
Yeah.
Man, you still walk into Sportsman's Warehouse and pick up the bat and think that, you know what, there's still hope.
I don't do that.
You don't do that
Yeah.
anymore.
Do you watch cricket? I don't even watch cricket.
I still watch cricket. I still enjoy watching cricket. Obviously there's no time to watch a test match anymore, but I still enjoy sitting on a Saturday afternoon watching a game of cricket. It's weird. I don't know. It's one of those things that I still enjoy. Cricket and rugby are the two, but cricket I still watch a bit of the game. I think the part about, I don't think the dream died. I think it's one of those phases of growing up. You start realizing where you are in life, whether it's a conscious decision or not, and you realize, you know what, hold on, like, this is what it is, and now you got to start thinking about other things. It's the same thing like, are you ever going to drive a Ferrari one day? Can you drive a Lamborghini one day? Like, it's attainable, but realistically, considering the profession that you are in right now with that income, is that possible? No, it's not possible. Then you move along with life and you put that dream to bed, and there's no hard feelings around. It's just the deck of cards that you were dealt, and you move along.
Yeah, for me, the dream died when I didn't make it into first team. I got into first team squad, and I went on tour with them. But then the school acquired some younger players. You know Jonathan Vandia, you must know him.
Jonathan Vandia, yeah.
Brilliant cricketer.
Yes,
so you can't compete with those guys. You know?
Correct.
He made first team even though he was like a couple of years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I won Batsman of the Year in under 15. I was Batsman of the Year. I made the most runs.
Congratulations.
The next year I didn't make it to first team, but the newcomers made it. So, and then I just didn't have that will and drive to practice and put in effort because talent is only like a small percentage of it, right?
So that's probably also why your passion for cricket also fell away, because you had a very high goal for that. For me, like, I still play a bit of action cricket. If I could find 11 guys to be committed to play red ball cricket on a Sunday, that would be amazing, but it's difficult to find that, and for us to even find that in our schedules. But it's funny because yesterday I drove past, so we're talking about this, I drove past Pinelands Cricket Club, and there was like a high school having one of their inter-school days, and it was so cool. Like, I actually pulled up on the side and I sat for about 15 minutes just to watch a bit of schoolboy cricket. It was really cool. And I think I was excited for the lighties as well, because now they've got commentators, they've got kit, colors, numbers, all the parents are there, and it was like a real vibe.
Good point. Have you ever seen yourself play cricket? Like on screen?
I haven't seen myself play, but I've been to the nets a couple of times, and then I pop up the GoPro just for the shits of watching it.
Okay, so you still do that? Because I used to play cricket, Yak knows, every weekend. My parents would be going to Hilton, Maritzburg, everywhere, right?
Or that bus trip.
The whole Saturday. I was proper into cricket. I mean, we went, I made Natal under 13, although the third team or whatever. And I was really into it, but I've never seen myself bowl or bat because, these gadgets went around those days.
We came before the age, so it never happened.
Never happened.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to spark my passion into cricket back again. And what's leading to that is Instagram, because the algorithm put this account on my page called Backyard Cricket.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's these guys in India or Pakistan or somewhere in the subcontinent.
Yes.
And they like mix real commentary with their backyard cricket. It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow, they actually commentating on themselves.
So they take the commentary from a real like international cricket game
okay.
and they overlaid on the video.
Fun.
Yeah. So, okay.
I watch the cooking videos from India.
We'll have a game maybe.
We'll have a game. There we go. Funny enough, I think when we just opened practice, just after COVID it was. Yeah, just after COVID. I actually got together a group of dentists and specialists in Cape Town, and we played a little game of indoor. It was amazing. In fact, I think I need to do another one like that again. It was fun. And it was the variety and the demographic was so vast. And my inspiration for that was one, I enjoy cricket. But the other thing is, I think as soon as you throw a ball in a guy's hand, he becomes a child again. And the one thing that I felt getting into private practice was immediately there was certain cliques and certain groups and certain sections. And I was like, guys, well, in my thoughts, I was thinking, we're just humans. We're here to serve our patients and to be good to our community. And the egos that we have are great because it helps the profession grow. But when we relate to one another, let's relate as humans. And that night was probably one of those memorable evenings for me personally because I got the guy's kit. I got the names at the back of them, asked them for their nicknames and put the whole thing together. It was lots of fun.
That's so cool, yeah. Bring you back to your childhood. Just put a ball in your hand.
Yeah. It was amazing to see really intelligent and highly influential guys in our dental community playing cricket.
Okay, so if you set one up, invite me, please. And then let's put it on Instagram. Like, let's record one or two things and do.
You'll
Seriously,
definitely do
maybe I'll
something
get back into cricket.
No, I won't.
My dad, my old man told me at the end of, when I was trying to figure out what I want to study, he said to me, you can go to the UK and try and get into county cricket if I want. But I lost interest by then.
Okay.
So grade 11 comes for you. And you're not influenced by the breaking of your teeth as a lighty. Your uncle has no influence subliminally. You just think, I want to do dentistry. I'm going to apply for dentistry.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. It's one of those moments that I just like to put it down that...
What, divine intervention or something?
I wouldn't say it as deep as that, but I guess every thought comes from a source. And if it came from there, then, holy la, that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
and then applied for it and I got in at Western Cape. I was on the waiting list up at Wits. And Cape Town happened to be convenient because my dad would come down for business every 8 weeks or so. My dad's in the clothing business. And so it also happened to be convenient that at least then I could see my dad every couple of months.
So you applied everywhere? All the
Applied
universities?
everywhere.
That's Pretoria, SMU, Wits, and where else?
UWC.
UWC.
Yeah.
There's only 4 universities, eh?
Only 4, yeah. For dentistry, yeah.
And you were, okay, so Cape Town comes through. Okay.
Obviously, I did apply KZN for accounting and optom, and you got to apply for everything.
Why do you say obviously? No. Tell us, what did you apply for?
Optometry was one. It was in KZN. BCom accounting. Got to apply for BCom accounting.
I didn't. Yeah.
Sorry?
I didn't, yeah.
And
no medicine.
no, never. That was never on the cards for me. I'm not sure why it was also never on the cards for me. But it was definitely professions or careers that were mainstream. And I think looking back now, I can understand the wisdom. Everyone has a little chuckle about if you're an Indian, then you got to apply for medicine, dentistry, accounting, pharmacy.
Engineering.
And I think at that time I used to laugh a little bit about it, or we still make a bit of jokes about it. But I think if you look at our history, we had to choose careers that gave us an income. Our forefathers came in this country with nothing. And if I look at my family, a very working class family, and I think the only thing that actually, other than divine intervention, but the thing that you can tangibly hold to that helped our family progress was education.
Yeah.
And this come down from my grandfather. My grandfather's family, they were in trade, clothing trade as well. And my grandfather looked back and he said, you know what? He can't do this forever, and he can't have this for his children forever, and he needs us to progress. Or I was not even a thought at that time. And I think the most difficult conversation that he says that he had with his father was that he needs to go back to school because he had to leave school at grade 8 to go and work because he was the eldest or the second eldest of, I think, 10 kids. And the elder kids have to go and graft. And he went back to school. He finished matric at night schooling, and then he went and did teaching at training college. And then from teaching, he started working, and then he ended up doing his honors and masters, and he eventually retired as school principal. And I think for all things said and done equal, education is what is the constant. So I want to say we won't have the privilege of studying airy-fairy stuff, but you are the backup plan.
Yeah, we didn't have the luxury of doing the gap year and let's go and study
100%,
arts and find ourselves.
And we've got to be proud of it as well, and we can't laugh at things like that because it is part of our legacy, and it's important to acknowledge that we are where we are because of that drive that our parents and grandparents put for us. The cool thing for me was that I had my mom's family. There was a family of academics, professionals. My dad's family was a family of businessmen. There are academics in my dad's family, but largely business and trade. So you get to see both sides of life and the pros and cons to it all, and how that works. Yeah.
But that's so ironic. I mean, let me know if I'm using this term correctly. The more academics that I hang around with in a social capacity, I feel like there's a little bit of a retrograde, but almost parallel to what you're saying. The academics that are in their own profession are trying to leave that and go and get into business.
So it's cool, it's great, but it's because of their foundation that they can do it. If I decided to leave dentistry tomorrow and start a business, let's go and buy trucks. You and I are going to start buying trucks, and we'll drive trucks.
We've got to drive already.
Yeah, we've got to drive already. You can live out your dream.
No, it's too late. AI is going to take that.
AI is going to take that. But if that falls, that's cool. We go back in full teeth. So we're able to do that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You've got your own practice, right? You run your own practice. So you are a businessman.
There we go. 100%. So now that's exactly where the benefit of the two family backgrounds comes in and does help. Being in healthcare, though, we have to use that term businessman very lightly.
Why?
Because we are a service-based business. We are in the service-based industry, but we're also in healthcare. And
so what would you call yourself if you're not a businessman, but you own a practice?
Yeah, but I get what Ridhwaan's saying.
I would call myself a healthcare practitioner first over businessman. Earning an income is the bottom line. We all have to earn an income. And we all want to live a certain quality of life and be progressive in our life, etc., etc. But I think we're accountable to a higher power over what we do to our patients, because that stays on for eternity. And business would dictate that we find the quickest, cheapest, easiest way of getting it done, regardless of the consequence, so that you can make that extra buck. That's what
successful business.
No, not a successful. That's a cutthroat. Because you can be successful and you're running a business.
But then again, where do you define success? Because success is relative. And I think this is where I'm very grateful. I'm referencing my parents a lot, but I didn't even think about this. It's just coming along. Where that term that my mom would use very often, Alhamdulillah. Like, just be praise be to God. Like, you got a glass of water, you got half a loaf of bread. That is success. Your success is someone else's dream. And healthcare puts us in this in-between spot. And look, I'm faced with these challenges daily. Temu, for example. Let's talk about Temu. We'll open up this can of worms. I have colleagues, friends, good friends of mine, which I also struggle in the conflict. And the thing is, no, man, get off Temu. It's cool. Get off Temu. And then I'm like, it's a problem though.
Wait, what do you mean? Just tell me, like...
Temu, the online site.
Or are they buying from there? Or?
Buying stuff.
Okay.
Buying stuff
what are
for
they
your
buying?
practice.
Oh, for the practice.
For the practice. So now you're buying, whether it's consumables for the practice. And I think at one stage in my career, and this is where learning and reading becomes such a big thing. At one stage in my career, I'm thinking, okay, things that don't go in the patient's mouth, buy off Temu. Maybe. Buy a plastic cup for patients to rinse after their procedure. You're going to save a couple of bucks. Cool. You're going to buy gauze and cotton roll. Cool. Composites and materials was a big no-no.
Can you buy that from Temu?
Brew, these guys are buying everything off Temu. Like, buy anything online, you can buy it.
But isn't that SAPRA regulated, like composites?
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they do it, but they're able to work a way through the system, and then you can bring in materials. Or let's just take Temu away. You got the trader who comes to your practice with a whole lot of composites in his backpack, and he's selling you composites. Do you buy it or not? That is, not call it a medical device, that's a pharmaceutical product that has been kept in a non-regulated environment, and now we're buying it because it's cheaper. I have a problem with that. But now you start thinking a little bit more, and recently I saw a post on composite bond brushes, the little brushes that we use to apply bond. And in my simple mind at one stage, I thought, you know what, if the guy's going to buy that off Temu, who am I to judge? And then there's even different quality grades of brushes, that when you're buying a brush from, say, Ivoclar, GC, 3M, premium companies, the quality of bristles is superior to getting something that is a copy of that. what happens when you use cheaper stuff? Those bristles fall off the brush and get embedded into your resin.
Yeah.
And now
Curing it in there.
you're restoring it in there. So now you're looking at post-op sensitivity, micro leakage, these restorations that are falling off. Who are we accountable to that?
Okay, well, you can see I don't run a practice because I was just under the impression that what you get on Temu is the same thing that you get here from. It's just.
Would you get the same Louis Vuitton bag from Temu than you off Shein that you'd get off Louis Vuitton?
Well, you see, I don't know because
And I think when we apply that logic,
I mean, as a layperson, I know you don't buy Louis Vuitton from anywhere else but Louis Vuitton. But
so do you buy composite off Temu?
Okay, so it's like that. It's like, because I can go and buy detergents.
so
I can go
you're
and buy like Domestos from Clicks or Discam. It's the same thing, same product, right?
But
it's not,
okay.
So you can't equate the two like that.
You can't. And I think in the same way that you get counterfeit products in every other industry, you're going to get counterfeit products in our industry as well. What does it take someone to print a little 3M or GC label and stick it onto this glass and say, like, this is a gift from GC, well done.
Okay.
And like, meanwhile, it came from Yak's practice.
I didn't know that guys are buying composites over from like.
I won't say specific Temu, but I know that
an example that.
But I'm saying that you're buying it from a non-regulated source.
Yeah.
And that's an important ethical conversation to have, and that conversation is between you and the dark ceiling at night, because no one's going to come to your practice to ask you, and no one should. Where did you get this from? Is this right? And patients, unfortunately, can't know this.
None the wiser. It's difficult for us to even know how these products are being imported. But on that note, while we're talking about it, who do you think's responsibility is it to look at the finer details of like quality control within a practice?
I think it's the practitioner, yeah. I think...
no, from an ethical perspective, I'm saying from a regulatory perspective. Is it SAHPRA? Is it the government? Can we expect them to...
I think as humans, we need to take some accountability for our actions ourselves. And I think we can't expect SAHPRA, HPCSA. There's so many other things we're probably going to chat about where I think they should rather focus their energies on than worrying about whether you and I have bought our composites from the right sources. And if I take it further, where it becomes more dangerous for patients and the profession is that it's easy for us to build beautiful practices. And patients buy into the look of a practice, but who knows what's in that drawer? And we have to have some sort of accountability to a higher power, higher order, or someone beyond us. I'm not saying it has to be to a God, but to something that this is a level of care that we need to give our patients. And take it further. Now I got a lot of mates of mine that will work in medical aid practices. And they say whether it's a medical aid practice in the middle of Cape Town or you got a practice in Umlazi or Kailicha, it doesn't justify it. It doesn't justify some. I'll say that again.
Good catch. For the listeners, there was like a little bug which Ridhwaan just eradicated very well.
I thought we were going to cut it out, but okay, now it's part of the show.
This is all in.
You can see he's a left-handed bowler.
but I think in all of this, you chose the profession. No one lied to us about the profession. I think a lot of dentists say we were lied to, we were duped. Who lied to you? You consensually applied for a profession. You went into this profession. And then when you realize it wasn't what your expectations were, not what factual reality was, you created an expectation for it. And then you say, you know what, we were duped into this profession. No. And if you really think the profession is bad and not fulfilling what you want out of it, leave. Or go and study something else. And then the argument is, but I've got commitments. Then maybe sell the Mercedes-Benz and buy a Toyota Corolla for a year, downgrade the 5 million rand house to an apartment, use that extra money to educate yourself and change professions. And I promise you that often the guys that are complaining about a profession will probably complain about the next profession anyhow, because every profession has its challenges. And like I tell my staff this, that the stress that the cashier has in the corner shop is comparable to the stress that the CEO of Allen Gray has. When her till doesn't tally up at $50 and his stocks have dropped 30%, they both have stress. Because the number is different, they both have stress. And we need to appreciate this. And now you can't say that because I'm working in a medical aid practice, I have to find, yes, you have to save money. Yes, you have to find ways to be innovative in keeping your costs under control. But at what point are you now heading into that place of being unethical to your patients? And even more, name one dentist. Okay, let's not name. But most dentists out there are living a pretty good quality life. Yes, they may not fly business class. Yes, they may not drive Porsches. But if you look at the country we're living in with an unemployment rate of 60%,
All
our
above
families
average,
are
yeah.
living comfortable lives. So are we justifying a medical aid reason to cover up costs and use great products, but to give ourselves a higher quality of life? Our business needs to match it. And I think, and I said this to someone else the other day, that your profession is what governs your income, unless you have family money and a trust fund. But largely for guys like us who are earning our money from our practices, your profession governs your lifestyle. With all things said and done, if you have a certain profession, let's talk about the cashier at that corner shop, he or she can't have aspirations with that job to drive a Porsche. So why do we think that by running a certain practice, we want that life? That model doesn't work then. Or open a practice elsewhere then.
Yeah. Yeah, I often ask that question to guests, like, why did you get into dentistry? Is it for the money? Did you think that you're going to, be rich because you chose a certain profession? I don't know how we started talking about this, but one of our other guests actually said as a fact that it's so easy in dentistry just to hide things. Who was it?
Yeah.
And just to
Oh yeah.
gyp
So
the
it
system.
was Dr. Kai. He said
Oh,
to
yeah,
us,
yeah.
if you're a dishonest person, you can be very dishonest as a dentist.
Yeah, because
100%.
patients are none the wiser.
100%. And it's frightening for us to think about it in that way. Look, when it comes to if you're choosing a profession because of money, the simple thing there is your bread is put out for you. The amount of money that you're going to earn in a lifetime has already been written before your time. So whether you're a dentist or whether you start up as a dentist or you start up as a physio or a pharmacist or whatever it may be,
Anyone that traded like their services for the time
No.
from or
whatever profession we may be in, your karma has already dictated that you will earn a certain amount of money in your lifetime. How you earn it is up to you to decide, or the profession is largely the means. God Almighty is what provides our bread. And he just found a profession that gives it to us, or is the means or the vehicle of that. So don't think that by being a dentist, we're going to earn more money, or I'm going to leave dentistry and I'm going to become an architect and I'm going to earn more money.
So
Your satisfaction may change, your job satisfaction may change, but your income, as long as you present yourself to work honestly and do what you should do, it'll be. Don't sit at home and think I'm going to earn my money because I'm put out there. No, that's a different thing altogether.
So you never found yourself in that situation where a lot of dentists do find themselves where once you start working, you think, I've been duped into this profession.
Not a single time. Not a single day. I do have the stress. Look, make no mistake. The same stress that everyone has, I have. Whether it's the patients, the staff, and maybe I'm a little bit more... I personally feel as a prosthodontist, I see stress differently. Patients already don't trust dentists. Now they're coming to us after they've been duped by multiple dentists, and now they have trust issues and they've got financial issues because they've dropped a bucket load of money. So now they're coming to you broke and with trust issues. So you obviously deal with the psychology of what those patients come with, but man, like, this is what the profession is.
But maybe you didn't feel duped because you didn't have expectations. Like, what were your
Also true.
expectations?
I'm generally a guy that doesn't have expectations.
I mean, just thinking of, I still don't know the reason why you got into dentistry. It wasn't because you
Still
wanted
on
to
that,
be.
Yeah, I thought I was lost, but you didn't really answer that.
So maybe that's what makes it easy. You didn't have any expectations of living an extravagant lifestyle or doing X, Y, Z.
Just go
go
to
with
work
it and make it work.
Yeah, I think so. In dental school, maybe this will also lend itself to prosthodontics. I went through first year dental school.
Tell us about that. Tell us about leaving Durban and going to Cape Town. Did you have family in Cape Town? Had you been there before and lived there?
No, never.
Because it's far.
Very far. Even though I tell my mom it's a 2-hour flight, it's a long 2-hour flight. We went once as kids, but no real attachment to it.
Who dropped you off at campus? And I mean, did you stay at Res or where did you?
I stayed in a student house with 2 other guys. So when I finished matric and I got my results, I think this was the second thing that my dad was the big thing. Came up to me and he told me, got a black book in my hand. If you want the respect of being a man, anything that you spend from today on in, you're accountable for. And you've got one chance at life. If you stuff this up, you come back to Durban and you're going to work in New Shop. New Shop, not specifically New Shop itself, but through high school, I had my first job in grade 8. My first job was for Pharmed Pharmaceuticals. I used to work in the dispatch and receiving. So I used to offload the trucks. Basically, normal manual labor. You go in the morning, you're with the boys having a sandwich and your juice, and you're offloading the
You
trucks.
and Yash would have made a good team with the trucks.
He was the driver. I was in the graph. Like he was sitting there and just smoking his cigarette while I was offloading the truck. And I think I did that through school holidays.
Why?
Pocket money. Basically pocket money. And you earn your bucks and you learn very quickly how quickly your money goes. You work a whole Saturday and you get paid 30 bucks and you buy a 29 Rand Vodacom recharge card and that thing is done after one phone call and you realize like, man, this phone call's not worth it. So you learn quickly the businesses of life as well. So these are good lessons that at that time I didn't realize. And at that time as a kid, you think, man, oh, my friends are having holidays, my cousins are having holidays, but we had this culture. And also the way it turned out was you learn to talk to people. I used to use a taxi from Overport to town. Walk to the taxi rank on Randall's Road, hop on a taxi, it drops me off in town, and then we move along from there. If you don't have no taxi, you find a lift. If it's raining, you put your watch in your socks so no one steals your watch when you get there because you want to watch at work. Yeah, so that was kind of the way through high school. Saturday work and holiday work. And then it evolved. I worked at a lawyer's office at one stage.
Doing what?
Dropping off mail, dropping off accounts that they hadn't paid, basically being a runner, and then typing out letters for. So she would have letters written up, and then I must be that boy that types out these letters for. And then that evolved into me working in a clothing shop, and the clothing shop job kind of stayed with me for a little bit longer.
Did your folks encourage this sort of independence and like you?
Yes.
Was it cast on you,
No.
or you decided yourself?
It was. It was cast on me. You
Okay.
have to go work. My parents worked in the holidays. My mom worked through school holidays as well. So it was part of the thing of where this is how you learn the ropes of life. Whether it's public transport, talking to people, making friends, engaging with society. You also start, I think subconsciously, you start realizing that whether you like to admit it or not, there's different classes of people around. And when you start engaging with different people, the people that come to buy from your shop versus the people that work in the shop, the people that I worked in the dispatch of Pharmed. I'm with the boys, emptying a truck. It's Durban summer. That perspiration is dropping. You're wearing 2 T-shirts in that day because you've sweated through the first one by 10 o'clock.
Mm.
And then you look at, as they would call it, the Lani. He comes in his Mercedes and he parks off in that office upstairs with an air conditioning. That seems cool.
Mm.
And then you start...
Delani's the boss for those that don't know.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing there's different areas. And then the in-between, then there's admin staff in different businesses. Okay, so they're not working as hard as what I'm working. They're not using public transport. They come with lift clubs, but they work in the offices. They still got an aircon, but they got an open plan office. And you start, as a kid, learning these little elements
Different tiers
of life. And
Did you used to take a taxi to work, you said, but to school or?
no, to school, my parents dropped us off, which was very nice. I think we used to use like a lift club coming home, but in the morning, my dad would take us to school.
Yeah, I'd never used it. I've never been in it.
He's lying. I was his lift club in matric.
You didn't let me finish this, like public transport.
Oh, okay.
Really?
In high school, no.
I was private transport.
You were private transport.
Yeah, literally.
You were Uber Black before Uber
Yeah.
became a thing.
Yeah, Uber Yak.
Yeah.
But I used to enjoy it because I never used to go to college or like university.
Yes.
So I used to go pick him up.
So who dropped you off in Cape Town the first? Do you remember that?
So leaving home was a big thing. Obviously, I'm the eldest of, not obvious, but I'm the eldest of 3. So my mom had never left, never let us leave like this. In my family, though, my mom's brother, my mama, he did dentistry in Manipal in India. So my gran had already gone through the thing of letting a son go. And that was a very different world because we still had cell phones. There, my uncle would land, the telegram comes back 3 months later.
Yeah.
This was in the 1980s. So I remember like my mom going to my gran and feeling, my gran is late now, but my mom going to my gran and feeling sad. My gran's like, you got it easy. Like the letter came 3 months later to say he landed. Or if he did call, then I think they said the call first went to London and then the guy would pull out one cable and drop in the next cable to connect it to SA. And it's a different life, eh?
Something just hit me. What is your uncle's name?
Mohammed Fayed.
I met your uncle
Really?
about 6 months ago. He studied with one of my mentors, dental mentors, Dr. Reddy, in
Is it?
Manipal. And Dr. Reddy introduced me at one of these functions.
Okay,
Really,
because they
really
still
nice
have
guy.
their reunions. the most humble, soft-spoken
Yeah.
guy you're going to find. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Small.
And I think also with him, like spending time with him also put a very measured perspective into the profession. My uncle would always tell me, yeah, Ridhwaan, I go to these CPD events. That guy got a Porsche and he got a Mercedes. I go with my old Jetta. And make no mistakes, uncle is comfortable, alhamdulillah. But that perspective of don't live on debt. The banks will throw money at you and
So your lifestyle.
yeah, the banks will throw money at you, but you're basically going to work to pay that back. It's not for free. So I think that also added an element of culture to it. And when things started changing a little bit more was through high school and especially through varsity, when I used to work in the holidays, my uncle's practice was in town and the clothing shop that I used to work at called Top Buy Factory Shop. It was like one street away from my uncle's practice. So either I would take a taxi to work in the morning or a bus and then go to my uncle's practice and then get a lift with him home afterwards. So he may not have specifically spoken about dentistry, but just spoken about these as an uncle would, the philosophies of life, like while you're this little kid listening to him and you move along. I think maybe a lot of the younger guys don't understand or appreciate the value of just listening sometimes.
Do you think that's subliminally influenced?
100%. 100%. I think my uncles and my family, creative family, my mom's siblings, my dad's siblings, did play a role in my upbringing. So you get this. We grew up as a very close-knit family, so it played a fairly decent role in all of that. So I know he's still asking that question about Cape Town.
And you had early exposure to like the real world.
Correct.
Yeah.
The working.
The working work. Yeah.
Understood working class from the beginning.
Man, I still told my mom, this is like child labor. You can't make me work. Like I'm under 16. Blah blah blah. The whole stuff. Like heard nothing of it. Go to Graph and you do your thing. I also had my first incident of theft in primary school. I had a little money box that I wasn't supposed to take to school. And obviously I took it to school and someone stole it. And in those moments, eventually it was recovered. But in those moments when that money was stolen, you also realize that if you don't my granny always said, don't throw money. By not holding onto your money and protecting what you've actually earned, in a moment someone takes it away and it's gone. And that's not just gone by theft, whether it's by interest. Interest is the biggest sin. And that's why we need to try and stay as far as possible away from it, because it is an oppressive financial system and we need to be aware of these things and before you sign anything. So anyway, got into dentistry. My parents came down with me for a week. My dad at this time is now trying to like make friends. He looks like he could be in your class. Go make friends with him. Like you need a lift club, because we had no car. I had no car. And anyway, I got...
This is Tygerberg campus, right?
Tygerberg campus. I got the phone number of two of my friends. I became friends. One was Sejal Hariprasad and the other was Nadia Skoenrad. Sejal, because her name and my name were our surnames on the roster were just on the same, one after the other.
This is 2007, right?
2007.
Yeah.
And then because they were all staying on res and I had no idea what was going to happen on the first day and how it worked. So I needed a contact of someone. And then came back to Durban, settled in. And then the house that my parents chose me to stay in was, his name's Uncle Mohammed, ex-school teacher from Durban who moved to Cape Town. And he had it's very simple 3-bedroom house. And myself, another Ridhwaan and Yusuf, they were in, Yusuf, Mohammed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph, yeah.
He was in your year then. Yes.
We were in high school together.
Yeah. So myself and Yusuf were actually in Buria West together and DHS together, and we shared the same student house together.
Wow.
And so they were a year above me in dentistry, which was a huge help, because now I'm living with two guys who were a year above, like kind of learn the ropes, get their notes from them. And my parents did the right thing as well. It was embarrassing at that time, but they did the right thing. They went to visit Yusuf's parents. They got to know Ridhwaan's parents. Like, who are these boys? Who's their families that you're living with? And they're both stand-up guys. Like, I'm really grateful that I got to live with the two of them, because also your company that you keep through varsity years does shape not just your varsity years, but your professional years as well.
Life, yeah.
Can make or break things, yeah.
100%. And then the first day of varsity, I was supposed to get picked up by this guy. I don't know who this guy was, some family friend of mine. When I landed in Cape Town, a different family friend person came to fetch me at the airport and dropped me off at home. It was the first and last time I ever saw this guy, right? There was no WhatsApp at that time. It was Mixit, man. The Balis didn't have Mixit either. So anyway, but very nice. He invited me home for supper. I was like, no, it's okay, uncle. I want to go home. And after that, I never saw him. Then the next morning, first day of school, varsity, I had to get fetched by another bloke. This guy came to me the day before varsity started just to see where I live and meet me and whatever. And he looked a bit of a shady character. But anyway, he's going to take me to first day varsity, and from there I must find my way. He didn't rock up the next morning. Here's me, like, hair combed, side part there, shirt ironed, socks matching my shoes. Now, where's this bra? Like, it's first assembly and the whole thing, and now you got to go. He doesn't rock up. Fortunately, Uncle Mohammed hopped in his car, took me to varsity, and there you start networking. The same way that you network back on the bus or the taxi or at work. Who's coming from Rylands? I need a lift club. And you realize that there's a lot more people hustling. Everyone.
Yes, and that's all being done instantaneously.
Instantaneously.
So you didn't know whether your next lift was going to come.
100%. I got to varsity. But look, also the other thing is what my parents did right, which also it worked, was that we knew from Tygerberg and UWC how the bus and the taxi system worked back to Rylands. So I knew that from Tygerberg, I could get a taxi to
Oh, so you were staying in Rylands?
Yeah, staying in Rylands. So I knew that I could get, if I had no lift back, I could get a taxi or a bus back. And from the bus stop to where I lived was about a 2-kilometer walk. My uncle's a runner. If he can do 80 kilometers, a 2-kilometer walk is not far. And that's what happened. I got to varsity and I met Darshan. He's now he's a dentist here in Johannesburg.
He left in Benoni.
Yeah. Darshan left after the first year. Yeah. He left after the first year and he came up to Tux, I think it was.
Yeah, I know him well.
Yeah,
I went to his wedding.
Is it?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Proper gentleman.
Yeah.
Darshan and Suvir. And then they introduced me to...
Suvir Singh.
No, Suvir Sachdeva.
Oh, yeah, Sachdeva. Sorry.
Sachdeva.
Yeah.
From
He's
Kenya.
from Nairobi, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So myself, Suvir and Darshan all lived in Rylands. And we got introduced to a guy named Anil. Anil was a final year pharmacy student. And he was at main campus, but Anil, still a friend of mine till this day, proper oak, and he would take us back and forth. He'd fetch us in the morning, and he became our lift club because our lectures in first year were at main campus. So again, like, it wasn't ideal, but the discomfort of the situation that the three of us found ourselves in allowed us to network and become friends and make friends. And you start talking. Now you rock up with your own car to varsity or an Uber. You have no need to talk to anyone.
Yeah, there's no link and no community, yeah.
Yes, and then that became varsity.
How was it? UWC, do you guys also do the thing where you, with the meds? No, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be with med students. It's just dentistry from, it's like a small class from year one.
We had a big class because
when I say small, I mean less than 100.
We were about 100.
Yeah, and all dentists, dental students.
Yeah. So UWC is a product of the amalgamation of the original UWC and Stellenbosch faculties.
Okay.
And since then, it's always just been a very large class. On average, it's between 80 to 110.
That's huge.
Wow. So it's a massive. It's almost unfathomable for us to think that you're in a class up here with 30-odd students.
Yeah.
We didn't engage with the medical students, but in our first 2 years, we did hub human biology with the Stellenbosch medicals. So we did our cadaver work and the dissection stuff all on that side there.
But you guys travel to Stellies?
No. The medical campus and dental campus is on Tygerberg facility itself. Yeah.
But you guys are together from year one. I mean, at Pretoria, I could have gone through the first 2 years and not even known a single dental
Oh, really?
student. Yeah.
Is it still like that?
I don't know now, but it could be like that. If I just didn't interact with a dental student for the first 2 years, I might not have known. I might be wrong, but yeah. So, but you guys form like this tight bond.
You're grouped together, and then even within your group of 100, I was group 2. Group 2 becomes even closer because you do all your rotations together. I think for me, the big kicker came in second year. It was the one time that I pulled a favor with my uncle. And second year dentistry, you start doing removal pros. You do the lab work. Special trays, the bite blocks, pouring models, trimming models. And my uncle got me in contact with...
This is for dentures, for the
For dentures, yes. Yeah. And he got me in contact with Durban Dental Lab. He was in Kenilworth Road in Overport. And I spent my Easter holiday or my Easter holidays at the lab. Just sitting at the lab, watching how the guys do wax up. So I, in essence, went through the denture process before I started university.
So it sounds like you had directive with your
Everything.
specialization way.
At that time, I didn't realize it, but at that time, it was more, look, I always use the saying, consistency beats talent, always. And I knew that I'm not the most intelligent guy in a group of 100, but if I work hard enough, I can definitely compete with the big guys. And if I'm going to be doing removal pros in second term, and my roommates are telling me it's a very different thing, you got to work with your hands, I'm like, I'm good with that. And you're going to be doing these things. Let's go and learn a little bit about it beforehand.
But you took the initiative to do
100%.
this.
Yeah.
And I just have to point out, like, this guy's a real dentist. Because, the only other time a student will meet a lab guy when they're not qualified is to get their quota done. But
Yeah.
you did it voluntarily.
I did
I
voluntarily.
thought it might have been going that way when you said your uncle hooked you up, but then...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So pretty much I spent the holiday there. So by the time I came back in second term, I had already done my first denture. Packed, flasked, polished, trimmed, the whole story.
You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it.
Okay, so you must have been one of these guys that were top of the class all the time.
No, I wasn't.
Really?
Top of my class was Riaz Jainuddin, Jonathan Dutoy, Fadi Tintinchi. Jonathan
Dutoy,
the periodontist.
Okay, he was in your class.
In the same year. Our class was actually a very nice, good class. Fadi Tintinchi is a maxillofacial surgeon now. He just moved to UAE. Extremely intelligent guy, but humble oak as well.
Can I just ask Suvir, did he finish in your year?
He finished a year after.
A year after?
After me.
Because I technically finished with him because I'm a foreign graduate. When I came in, I had to do
You wrote that exam with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So that's how I know Suvir.
Okay, but you were mingling with the top guys. You were one of the tops.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been one of those people that proactively went and did lab work and then you weren't. Come on.
Yeah, that would be a problem, man. That would be a problem. And then, but I think I always just enjoyed it. I think even when it came to anything technical that to do with my hands, the studying we all hate. But the studying I knew, again, staying with Joseph and Ridhwaan, they had a set routine. Those guys were like military academics. Saturday and Sunday, the house is quiet. Those guys will study the whole day. At night, they'll go out. Friday night was the rule. We don't do any work at all, regardless whether it's test week or exam week. Friday night, we never work as a rule.
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday nights, we won't work either. But during the day, I'd still go to gym in the morning, but those guys would study the whole day. So when the culture at home was to work and there's a consistency of working or even just reading. And then you realize when the boys older than you are there and now their friends become your friends, what do dentists do when they meet other dentists? They talk dentistry. And then now suddenly the conversations are happening about pros and oral path, and I'm still learning about like tooth morphology. So it did help significantly. And then
you had a very conducive environment to
100%, yeah. So I think my parents did a very, very good choice in how that's set up there. And then third and fourth year, obviously it was tough. Everyone knows third and fourth year is difficult academic years because now your clinical load is increasing and your academic detail is also increasing because now that foundation of what you form as a dentist is happening now. What I did realize though from the older guys was you could spot, you could go through past papers, and you could do very well. I think I took the scenic route. I remember going through the module outcomes for oral path. And I knew it was the long way. I knew I wasn't going to get an A because of that, but I just felt it was going to give me a better reading of the subject matter. And as it happened, I didn't get a cum because I studied more than what I should have, and I didn't spot. But it did make me feel more comfortable in having a conversation with colleagues and peers afterwards. Fourth year was more enjoyable because the clinical work, meeting patients, engaging with patients, but the workload does increase tremendously. And then fifth year was an absolute joy. I loved it.
Why?
It was clinics. Like, yes, you've got your OSCEs and things like that, but it was probably one of the best years because it was doing everything that I enjoyed doing. I loved it. It was so much of fun. And again, planning. I knew that in fifth year, you need to do 12 units of crown and bridge. I met my crown and bridge patient, and he's still a patient, he's still a contact of mine. I met him at the end of third year. Met him in third year, and I followed him through. He had perio, managed his perio, did the whole story with him, and I told him, bro, when I'm in final year, we're doing all your crowns.
Remember what I said at the beginning? Why does prosthodontics exist? When dentistry fails.
Yeah. That's basically it. And he had his old crowns done in the military. So he was one of those guys that.
Oh,
the
you
military
didn't do
said-
it.
No, I didn't do
Someone else.
it. No. So he had a whole.
Joke makes no sense.
Yeah, sorry. So he had a mouthful of crowns done, called a full maxilla of crowns done in the military, and those had now started failing. But he had other issues that we had to work through. And my crown and bridge supervisor in final year was Ashan Singh. He was a pros registrar. And I think he was the one that really tickled that inspiration of prosthodontics, because he held my hand through that case, explained things to me about crown lengthening and recontouring, post and cores, intrusion, extrusions. And he linked me up with another guy, Ashraf Ali. He was a peer registrar. And instantaneously that knowledge increased like that. And it was crazy. And I'm still very grateful for the role that Ashan played in those years. I still call him. I still need help from him.
Specialist in Amashlanga now, right?
Yes. And that was really massive. And I think as a final year student, to have a pros registrar take an interest into your teaching and learning and your growth and development, and to spend time talking to you. And I remember going, look, a reg time is grueling. And this guy had time for me to pop by his clinic to ask him questions.
Dude, you're making me want to study dentistry. You like, it sounded like you had a really good time.
I loved it. It wasn't easy. I had my challenges. Look, again, challenges, hustling for a lift, trying to make a plan, getting someone to pick and drop you off, to take your laundry. You got no one to take you for groceries, and you got to make a friend, and you feel bad. Are you making this friend because you need a favor from him because he's got a car? It was never that. But you're also living a very different lifestyle. Food was another story.
Yeah. Could you cook?
No. But my mom would pack food for us like every good mom would do, would pack food in little containers and have it labeled.
Durban
and then
boy,
you
this is
defrost
Durban.
it. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
She still does that. But maybe feeding is a love language.
We didn't have Uber Eats and all that stuff.
Didn't have
eh?
Uber Eats.
Yeah.
At that time, Wacky Wednesdays was a thing.
Steers. Yeah.
But again, bucks was a problem. I couldn't afford to eat out all the time. I had a certain budget to work to, and that's why I had to work in the holidays, because that bucks keeps me going through in the year. So my father was obviously instrumental in keeping me through varsity. But if you want to go for a movie, I could calculate to go play action cricket.
Yeah.
I could count to the last Powerade how much that evening for action cricket would cost me. It's going to cost me a 15 Rand ride, because I'm not going to take a lift from someone for free. Going to pay him 15 or 20 bucks for petrol. Then the game fees. Then you want a Powerade afterwards. So what do? You start buying your Powerades in bulk at Macro over the weekend. So if you're playing cricket in the week, you've got that sorted out. So you start, all those lessons start coming through now in student years. And then, yeah.
So you don't have any of these horror stories from dental school like me. I mean, I used to run away from Dr. Lowe, who was looking for me for my one partial denture that I didn't do for quota, and another doctor that made me go and
also,
shave.
To be fair.
I hated it.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Like, let's take it.
Our last guest hated it also.
We in a country where edentalism is a problem, how can you not have quotas for partial dentures?
I think it's more important than, any maths facts work, to be honest.
So
that was
again, so what did I do? I went into, and look, it's not even crooking the system. It's just taking time. I would go to the pros clinic, and Moira was the lady there. She's still working there. Moira was there, and I asked her for the screening file, and I would go through that file myself, and I'll phone those patients. Hello, Mrs. Naidu. I see you on the list for partial denture. The one option is what all students do is you write their new patient and they book you a new patient. And luck of the draw, you get what you get if the patient comes. So I was physically calling those patients myself based on the screening form. So I knew that I was getting my patients to come in. And then you've got your patients, you book them in. So in essence, you're running your own little, I didn't realize this, but I was running my own little practice. Calling patients, booking them in based on what I needed, screening form.
And you're taking the initiative.
Also, the other thing is, sorry, I know you're going to jump in there.
Go.
When you, at the faculty, you got patients on different classes. They're classed as H0 to H3 based on their financial status. And they obviously pay a nominal fee, but according to what their ranking is. So I would call all the H1 and H0 patients, because I knew then, get those patients in, there's no cost involved with them, our good government is paying for it, and you just keep churning through the numbers.
No, I thought you were building up to a horror story here, because that's what I said. Like,
I think
do you have any?
Most horror stories can be averted if you just plan around properly.
Yeah, that's true.
And you got to pray, man.
Depends,
I think my mom and my grand prayed a lot for me in that time, so I guess I'm also grateful for that. But I think it's just taking initiative and just just being consistent. And again, Ridhwaan had this thing in his bedroom. Ridhwaan, we call him Fox. He had this thing in his bedroom of all of his quotas. And he told me every day that you get a quota, whether it's a one surface amalgam or a tissue conditioner, it's on that thing and you put a little line through it. And he says, in final year, you make sure that every day you come home, you've got at least one quota done. Don't go to campus and leave anything behind. So again, at the beginning of final year, I already had my quotas that I knew that I needed for the year. I had my patients that I knew that I had been starting to build up from fourth year. And I had the same number of days as every other dental student. It's just about using those hours wisely. And yeah, look, I had the supervisor that I tried to dodge. If I had a certain supervisor who I didn't like the way she spoke to me, then I knew that day I'm only going to be booking my recalls and my adjustments. And I know that that guy who had Dr. Kathri, I learned so much from Bashir Kathri. All these weird altered cast techniques for partial dentures. He sat there, showed me how you put the beeswax on and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff that you can learn.
And I booked my patients according to the supervisors that I would have. Yes, Prof. Wilson didn't like that I tried to dodge a clinic, but I knew that I'm going to have a hard time. Yeah. So let's just be efficient about this.
I just want to go back quickly before before I forget that what you just mentioned there, I think that is, of utmost importance. Our country is a massive country of edentalism. There's so many, for the guests and listeners, that means a lot of people don't have teeth.
Yeah.
Majority, I would think, of our working class actually
100%.
don't actually have teeth. And I came to a realization, not when I lost a tooth, I have all my teeth, but when I lost some fingers, actually. I don't know if you know this, I'm missing partially 4 fingers. And when it comes to quality of life and functionality, something as small as not having a little bit of your finger makes such a big difference. And it's something that I had to adjust to very, very early. And that cost-benefit ratio, because at the beginning, before I started, getting more involved in the rehabilitation of my hand, I could see how something as small as a hand prosthetic would make such a big difference.
100%.
Me holding this cup, for example, and I said this before in a previous episode, but it costs almost nothing to make a hand prosthetic. And it's the same thing with dentures, but no one seems to place emphasis on it. In order to improve quality of life in the public sector, just by giving someone a little partial denture to improve their smile or their chewing capacity or whatever it is, even their persona and their confidence, it's not being done. And I think
to be fair, most dentists don't enjoy prosthetics because they didn't have a very good experience working as students in those years. So your formative years where these skills are learned and almost refined, you've had bad experiences. Look, you're also dealing, maybe I got lucky with the supervisors that I had. But again, what did I get lucky? But
I mean, you could have also just hated dentistry.
I could have also
gotten there and realized, damn, I made the wrong decision here.
Look.
And then you won't put in the effort.
Let's also not bugger around about another part of this. Supervisors play a very big role in your perception of the profession. And this is something, I wasn't planning on this coming up, but if you feel like cutting something out, you by all means you can cut it out. So I'm just going to let this go.
Yeah.
By virtue of being a dentist doesn't qualify you to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with our system is that we have many dentists in positions of being educators, and they are not educators. And now they've also become dentists who are non-practicing or non-clinical dentists. So what happens? We all have egos. We all have projection of insecurities. So now you yourself haven't done a denture in 20 years, 10 years. You're supervising a student who's coming and telling you, this impression keeps getting an air bubble on it. How do I fix this? And you're thinking, man, I haven't taken an impression in 10 years with SSY.
No practical experience.
What do I do? You start projecting your insecurity onto a student, an innocent student, in a way that makes a student feel scared, intimidated, and repulsed to attending the clinic, purely because from our side as educators, we haven't looked at it. And I say this because I come from a family of teachers. My grandfather's a teacher. I got 2 aunts that are teachers. And the amount of psychosocial awareness that needs to come from an educator is sometimes greater than the skill set that you're imparting. You're nurturing an adult who's going to become a professional.
Yeah.
Your knowledge is something that they can keep learning and they can keep developing, but nurturing their student. I've been in clinics where I've heard in the next cubicle, I should have failed you in third year when I could have.
Ouch.
You don't tell a student that. You can't. It's almost emotional abuse.
Yeah.
That degrades that persona. And that girl left dentistry and went and did medicine. And I was with her through 5 years of dentistry, and she left altogether. And she's a pretty intelligent girl, but she just struggled with the skill set because dentistry is a very demanding dexterity type of profession. And I think the other part of it comes to, and I think this is the part that I learned very quickly in dental school. I'm very grateful that even though my parents grew up in apartheid and lived in all that, and I don't like getting into it, but my parents never brought their experiences to us. I honestly can't remember having conversations where there was hate and malice towards an apartheid regime. And I think if I look at my granddad, remember he, working class, worked as selling clothes in Grey Street and Lawn Street and Victoria Street in Durban, and he went and got an education, became a teacher and a principal under the apartheid system. And I think that ideology of the system we don't agree with doesn't work for us, but we need to get on with our business.
Adapt,
or you're going to crash.
Yeah.
And what happened now is in dental school, I realized that firstly, UWC came from that phase of amalgamation, which, whether it's like to be said or not, at that stage, it was still fresh. The amalgamation happened in 2002. So you had a Stellenbosch and UWC and that dynamic which came together. And I think they did a pretty good job at doing it, but you can't hide human emotions. It's there. Those comments are passed, and as students, they hear it. And I normally tell friends of mine, man, apartheid's over. Forget about it. Like, let's move along. And that's extremely insensitive of me to have even been thinking in that way, because I realized one of my good friends, who's about in his 40s, his mom had to leave school and she couldn't study because of group areas. She had to move out the area. Because they had to move out the area, they were relocated, the whole story. And his mom has this thing that I never got an education because of group areas. His mom's lived experience obviously resonates strongly with him. It's impossible for us to tell him, we need to adapt to what we have now. And that's
he's got his truth.
It's his truth. And we need to accept it. And that's why we have to be very sensitive about these topics. But the great thing is that he doesn't pass it on to his kids, which I'm very grateful for. And it's amazing to see him do it. But in the university setting, and I'm sure this is not just dental universities, every faculty, it's every industry where there's teaching and learning happening, but certain comments that are passed should not be passed even in moments of jest. And the thing with dental students are, why they have bad experiences, because now they're impressionable. They're scared. And now, if I'm going to report my supervisor for saying this, the supervisor is going to victimize me. And if the supervisor is told that you can't supervise the student, what happens? All of the supervisor's friends are then going to victimize me. And then I become that problem child. So you know what? I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to move along with life. And it's such a sad thing for a student to go through, because I fortunately either was oblivious to it, or I didn't give a shit about it, or I didn't face it. I don't know. But for someone to not have the dental experience that I had is sad, because I love UWC. I love the institution. I love the process of going through the type situation. And I think those experiences that they have are not representative of the university, but you can't, that social dynamic is challenging.
Look, I don't think we need to cut anything, because there's nothing too controversial that you said there. It's the reality.
Me too. Like, I'm understanding, like, you started off saying that, like, it could be something controversial, but I think it's from a moral perspective. This is something that's all encompassing, not just with dentistry, but you shouldn't be belittling anyone, especially if your job and your purpose is there to teach.
I think the faculties perhaps should look at having, even though they have become really progressive about the rights and voices, they should have a separate point of contact. Corporate has HR officers, but a point where a student can go and talk. But how do you manage that? Because in essence now, we always talk about, it's a big thing on gender-based violence, and we talk about sexual harassment, and you must talk and you must, but the students now in their 20s are learning about, they're going to take insults, which is racially biased or has racial prejudice to it, and they're not saying anything about it. It's also bad habits for them to take through their profession as well. And then a lot of them just have negative perception of the profession.
But it's also about training your trainers. You know, we spoke about this with Ibi Patel.
Yeah.
And I asked him the question, like, when they recruit you as a lecturer or whatever at a university, do they go through your teaching credentials? And the answer is no, because you need to be qualified as a dentist or whatever that specific.
And that's a problem.
You know, but teaching is so important.
Exactly, but that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like you gotta be able to be a good
Teacher
and educator, yeah.
You can't just be good at your profession and expect that to be an inference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, sorry.
No, go on. Yeah.
So that's kind of where dentistry led to. And then honestly, qualifying as a dentist, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but it wasn't the excited moment that people would think it is. Because I already knew
Where did you serve?
Matuba at the military base, just outside St. Lucia.
But you already knew.
Northern KZN.
Yes. But I already knew in 5th year, I was going to do prosthodontics.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to get in at some point, but my career from 5th year was going to be directed towards becoming a prosthodontist. I already knew that. Again, ComServe, applying for it, I was male, unmarried, no kids, no property. I'm going to get shafted. So I went onto that list to look at which are the posts that I want to get shafted at.
Okay.
And then I apply there. Like, what's the point of saying I want to apply for King Edward Hospital in Durban and then cry that I didn't get it afterwards? Like, get on with life. You're going to go in the bush, find a bush that you're going to enjoy being in.
I mean, you've done all the things that, you've avoided all the things that I did as a student, honestly, because I even did that. I applied for all the nice places knowing, and I should have known better.
And then we cry victim later. But this is not ComServe's first rodeo. Talk to the guys before, and then they're going to tell you, dude, you're not going to get it. And then...
Hey, my priority was passing, right? So we had different priorities. Okay, exactly.
Yeah, and then ComServe happened.
Get back into school.
ComServe happened. Enjoyed ComServe, and again, I chose the military because I wanted to do prosthodontics. I knew that I wanted to continue
opportunity,
partial dentures, crowns, fillings. I don't want to do extractions. I have no desire for extractions.
Do you think it's still that same way with military? There's more opportunity.
There's definitely more opportunity.
Yeah.
The application
process any final year students that are watching, they can.
Yeah, the application process has changed a little bit though. I think now they got to apply in different regions or different sectors, and previously we just knew apply everything military and your form goes to military, and then I know the system's changed, but for the final years that are watching, military is what will give you a slightly better edge. And then after ComServe, you need to find graph.
But you would have thought about this probably 2 months into ComServe.
But this is a variable you can't control.
Right.
Because where do you work? Either you go into private practice, which was not an option for me, or
stay on.
I tried to stay on, but the wheels move very slowly in the military. My Colonel Barry Pfeiffer, he was my SO1, and he asked me if I want to stay on. I said I'd love to. I applied, I interviewed, but because things move so slowly, by end of ComServe, I still needed to work. I still had student loans to pay, so I went through varsity. It was bursaries and loans. Remember the black book that the Bali had after matric? The black book comes out now. Fortunately, he gave me a good discount. He gave me a very good discount, but there were a few things that he couldn't write off the invoice. So
hectic uncle. He's
a good Bali. He's a good Bali. But he's hectic.
Yeah, I trained you well.
But for good reason. And then, so now it's again, save up money in ComServe knowing that I might be unemployed for the first 3 months. And that's when, this is where the fun started actually. Like the fun as in the life lessons. All of that happened before this was kind of preparing me for these years here. Because I applied different practices, but you can't find work. And then someone told me of a practice in Cape Town CBD that needed a dentist. And I wanted to come back to Cape Town because I wanted to specialize. I knew being in Cape Town or Johannesburg would be advantageous, closer to the university. I can be present in whatever form it may be. I didn't want to be in Durban and just work and say, I want to specialize at some point. That's another thing. A lot of guys say, I want to specialize, but they haven't been intentional on that journey. So don't, again, play victim that the race card, like, what have you done? And then moved to Cape Town. I took this job. And then when I got to this practice, I realized I'm working as a locum. And that's where I met Nazir Nata. Decent guy. Became one of my first friends in dentistry. And he really helped me a lot in managing my emotions as a young dentist. Nazir's a good couple of years older than I am, but he's very much young at heart.
Are you saying applicable to private practice?
To private practice, yeah. And I realized that working at this practice, Nazir was also a locum at the practice. And I think the boss at that time, I can't mention his name, was looking at getting rid of Nazir. And the first month, I earned pretty decent bucks. I paid the bills. I bought my first car then, because the car that my father gave me in Varsity, which was a Corsa Light, had to be sold. It wasn't a car that I could use beyond, it was over 10, 15 years old, it was done. So again, I needed to buy a car, so got a loan from my mum, and I signed my first vehicle finance agreement with a Toyota Corolla. Not the car that I would have wanted as a first car, but it was the thing I could afford. And that's when I realized the banks are dangerous. I'm signing a finance agreement with a ComServe contract. Like, come on, but I had to at that time. Anyway, I had expenses, student loans, the car, I had to pay rent, I'm living alone, the whole story. And the first month's salary was okay. The second month took a drop. By March, my salary was 13,000 Rand.
What were you earning in military?
ComServe at that time, about 35, 40, somewhere thereabout.
So from 35 grand going down to like 13.
13. And now rent in Cape Town, you're looking at about 8,000 Rand. Repayments on a car, about 4,000 Rand. Your student loan repayments. You're well into your savings now, my man. Like, debit orders are like about to start bouncing. And then this guy would also now, and I'm saying this not because I'm complaining, no, but because I want younger dentists to realize that the battles they're fighting is not unique to them. Like, as a young dentist, you're not special. Your problems are with everyone. And because guys complain, yeah, this and whatever, but it is what it is. You're a locum. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm not earning much because this practice was now in a bad light. And I got to make some bucks. So I had the first hard conversation with the boss. I was like, look, but it took me a week to pluck up the courage. I can't be a full day. There's no patience for me to see the full day. I'm like the third dentist. I'm seeing overflows. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I need to find another locum. So then I found another 2 locums. So then I would work in the afternoon and the evening to supplement the income for the day. And before this happened, I'll clearly remember this day. I went to work in the morning. I ironed my scrubs, packed my little Camp Master cooler bag, put my little juice and my fruit, and I felt all accomplished, and I went to work. Sat the whole day at work, and I saw not a single patient. I came home from work, and I put my little cooler bag on my little countertop, and I switched on the lights. The lights were off. I was like, if there's one day that you're going to feel this small, it was that day. And then that's when the next day I told the guy, look, I know you can't pay me, there's no patients, but if there's no patients, you shouldn't have got a third locum. But I'm not going to just drop you. And then I found a second locum where I was doing afternoon work for this lady. And then I found a third locum where I was going to go in the evening. It was in Belhar, a lower socioeconomic area. Like in that area, they chain the computer screens to the table and to the floor because the patients will physically take a computer out and walk out. And I used to do extractions in that clinic in the evening. So I don't like extractions, but...
Still private though.
Still private, all private. I didn't want to go back into state because I wanted to specialize. And then the turning point came in is that this dentist, he used to place implants. And he wasn't using a CBCT. There were CBCTs available at that time in 2013. And he told me, Ridhwaan, I've been doing this for all the years. Take a pan, I do a little measurement. I got the ruler that calibrates some nonsense. And he places implants and he's got years of success and guys refer to him and blah, blah, blah. And this guy placed an implant in a couple of patients. And then it was a week later, it's around May, June of year post-ComServe. Howard Gluckman is calling the practice and he wants to speak to Dr. Haffajee. I'm like, I don't know I know who Howard Gluckman is, but why is this bra calling me? like, what business does Howard have? And now the receptionists are diverting the calls. Dr. Haffagee's not in, he's not available. And now I'm getting a little bit scared. Like, why is Howard Gluckman trying to call me? Like, this is...
Wait, why were they diverting the calls intentionally?
Yeah, intention. But I'd hear whispers. yeah, Howard called to speak to Dr. Haffajee again. And then eventually the one day, I remember this night, I went onto Google and I searched Howard Gluckman, found his number, and I called him with a little stutter in my voice. Dr. Gluckman, my name is Ridhwaan Haffajee. We've been trying to call the practice. I know these guys have been diverting calls and telling you I'm not available. What's the story?
Ooh, okay. Sound that makes sense.
And then he says, do you know Mrs. So-and-so? And then I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, did you work on her? And I'm like, no. She's a very sweet old lady. But I know that she was in the chair a week ago with the good old doctor. And doctor placed an implant and she came back to the practice saying that her lip feels a bit numb. And he told her it's a bit of inflammation according to the pan. And he showed me the pan. It's far from the nerve. It's all good. And Howard told me, well, my boy, I took a CBCT. This implant is through the nerve. And he says that you placed that implant. And I'm like swearing on all the heavenly gods, I didn't place this implant. I didn't do it.
Wait. Sorry. The
boss
says that you placed it.
And so when Howard called the boss, the boss told him, my associate placed the implant. I'll deal with him. Don't worry about it. But then I realized that the boss had a bit of a reputation. And Howard called me to warn me and tell me that I know you didn't place this implant. Even though I don't know you, I know you didn't place it. But this is what the guy said about you and that he's going to deal with it. And my advice is run, Forrest, run. And I put the phone down with this little bead of sweat that went down my spine. I think I changed my underwear after it as well. And what do I say? I can't tell the boss that this is what happened, that Howard called me. And what do I do? So what do you do?
This is a dilemma.
You are the medical ego guy.
This is a dilemma.
Tell me, you're the medical ego guy. What do you do?
I don't know, because you see, it's a real life situation. Yeah?
Well, I'm calling you for advice. You're the lawyer.
Yeah.
I would make up a excuse and leave.
But then you look guilty.
That doesn't matter whether you look guilty or not. The guilty party is not you.
So what
well, look, I don't give employment and labor advice, but you got to be open and honest and raise it. Deal with it. What else are you going to do?
I'm 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a guy who's in his 50s. Yeah. Listen here, boss. You placed an implant in that auntie earlier. What's the story now? You're blaming me. I'm hearing stories on the street. I placed it. No, it doesn't work like that.
And you also need a salary at the same time.
I need a job because right now my debit was bouncing. And this guy, when he was paying me by check. And then now he tells me I deposited the check. And now I wait for that box. They don't do checks anymore, thankfully. And then the check will bounce. Now your gym membership is bouncing. And look, Dad, I'm sorry.
That's a privilege.
My father didn't know any of this because my dad always said, if ever you're in a problem, call us, we'll help. Like, I'm not saying this that I had no family help, but I figured this is what I need to, like, up until I really can't do it, I still had money saved from ComServe. This is my fight.
You had money saved from when you were working in the trucks.
Nah, man.
That independent enough.
That Vodacom recharge vouchers chowed that up quickly. Anyway.
So what do you do? Because clearly you wouldn't have listened to a lawyer either. But
I couldn't afford a lawyer.
Yeah.
Who could box for a lawyer that time? You guys are expensive.
You didn't have dental protection.
Ooh, don't tell that.
Don't even start with that thing. I couldn't afford DPL, bro.
Okay.
Again, young dentists will understand this. I'm struggling to get my debit orders to run through, medical aid and all that nonsense.
Literally keep the lights on.
Keep the lights on. Yeah. So I did what I thought was best. I went to the faculty and I spoke to Prof. Osman. He was the dean of faculty. I was like, Prof, I need help. This is what happened. And Prof. Osman, such a stand-up oak, man. Like, in that moment, it reminded me that, and forever, the university will always have an important part in our dental community, and we can never discredit the role of the university. Because in that moment, the safest place that I could have gone was Prof. Osman's office. And he opened his door willingly. No appointment, no issues, come. And I didn't have a personal relationship with him. I didn't know him as a Ridhwaan and Prof. Osman. I only knew him as student 2742730 and the dean.
Cut that out too.
My student number, basically, yeah.
Can I just reiterate like my belief in Prof. Osman as well? I've got a story there about him, and I firmly believe that if it wasn't for him, I would not have passed my entrance board exam getting into South Africa, because it was just a small group of us and the pass rate was very, very minimal at that stage with these board exams. But he we just reached out to him. He allowed us to come to UWC. And we
Okay.
spent about 2 or 3 months like in the faculty, like shadowing the
Just to
different
get familiar
department heads. So shout out to Prof. Osman. I think you
100%.
had
There
a
we go.
very pivotal role in success stories of
Crazy,
both
yeah.
of us.
I think that's why we spoke about educators and teachers at varsity.
Hmm.
They're leaving legacies behind.
Exactly.
And you can choose whether you're going to leave a positive or negative. And that's an intentional decision you make every morning you enter the faculty.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
so what was his advice?
His advice to me was, look, Ridhwaan, let's not panic. Right now, no one's been sued. Right now, Howard Gluckman did the right thing and called you. Howard understands the truth and he knows the truth and the reality. The patient was sedated, so she doesn't remember. So basically, it was word against word. Don't run away. He says, go to the practice, take photos of all the notes that are written down, because the doctor obviously wrote down notes, which he did. It was signed by him. So I took photos of that and he said, keep that. Don't leave your job right now. You need to earn some money. Stay there. I know it's uncomfortable, but remain there, earn a couple of bucks, but start looking for work elsewhere. And then he also gave me some really beautiful advice. When you specialize in prosthodontics, you don't have to be in a high-end implant-based practice. He says, can you do, and I lecture at the Bridge program every year, and I tell the dentist, can you do a DO on a 2.7 with a rubber dam and a Garrison matrix band, or a Garrison sectional with indirect vision? Can you do that confidently? So before you try to run and sprint,
For the viewers and listeners who are not dentists, that is a very difficult thing to do.
And it's a simple filling.
Yeah.
It's a simple filling, but a very difficult one to execute.
It's complex because
based on the location in the mouth, and you're working upside down. He says, do basic dentistry well. Do your bridges, do your crowns, do your dentures. You don't need to do a full rehab. You don't need to do all of that. Just do the basic things well and build your CV. Attend what you need to attend. I was like, okay, that was also good advice, like at that point, because you're thinking, on a specializing pros, do I need to be doing full mouth rehabs? And I went back to the practice. I took my photos of all the notes. I felt like a little James Bond in that moment, like hoping no one's going to see me. Did my thing. And that's when my first friend Nazir, who had already left the practice, was working at Kronboom Dental. And Kronboom Dental was looking for a locum, and I submitted my CV, and Nazir put in good reference for me. And I started working at Kronboom Dental. I worked under Shanaz Khan at that time. She owned the practice. And I think that's where I learned that good people in dentistry exist. Shanaz Khan and Nazir, I'll say this to his face, he's got a bit of a hot head. He's got a bit of a temper. But you also learn that's him. And he's got a very good heart as well. And he's passionate over what he does. And you just need to understand where that is coming from and realize he's not malicious. He's not a bad person. He's overly passionate, kind of like what old Dr. Patel was. Dr. Patel would say that I swear you because I love you. I was like, yeah. And Shanaz taught me that you can run a busy, big dental practice and still be a good person. I used to submit my stats to Shanaz at 8 o'clock at night on the 30th. And I kid you not, that lady used to pay me almost on instant. No assessment of stats, no scrutinizing things. And the one day I asked the lecturer, I was like, Dr. Khan, don't you look at those stats? And she's like, if you're going to steal a couple of $100 from me, it's not going to make me richer or poorer, but it's going to sit with you. I was like, she's right. And obviously you want to do things the right way, but coming from where I was coming, where the guy checks were bouncing and paying you late and deducting weird things from you. So then in this time, I'm studying primaries. I'm doing my PDD in implants as well.
And you got to pay for primaries.
You got to pay for primaries. Yeah. You got to pay for your PDD. And now, because you're trying to recoup money that you didn't make in those months when you were earning below I was working 8 to 8. I would work one locum from 8 to 1, another locum from 2 to 6 or 2 to 5, and then from 6 to 8, 15 something in between. So it takes a lot of work, it takes time, and then you come home in the evening, and then you got to study primaries in. So it's long days. But again, the culture of the household that I came from, student house as well, you kind of learn discipline. In that time, I climbed Kilimanjaro as well. So that was fun as well. So
I told you he's a cool guy.
You start making time.
Cool
You
dentist.
you start fitting in things. And with Ashen, when he was a pros registrar, at that time I asked him, what's your registrar number? And when do you finish? And I told him, I want to get your contract. And God is my witness, that's the contract that I got. So we planned it. I'd like to say I planned it, but Ashen definitely helped guide me and tell me what to do. That when he finished, I interviewed, and then in this time I also worked at Dr. Patel's private practice. So I was his fill-in dentist in the week. Dr. Patel used to be at his practice in the weekend, Saturdays, and I used to see his patients or whatever patients they were, or the families in the week, in the afternoon. So I used to work at his practice from 2 to 5. And then I also got to know Mrs. Patel as well and how they ran their practice in a very honest, pure way. Mrs. Patel, really good soul, like really, really good soul, where she says, Ridhwaan, like she's accountable to God only, and you just do right by your patients. If you don't make much money, you'll be fine. And I promise you that purity in earning less goes further in trying to earn more. And I think those were good lessons to keep me grounded in that time. And then I interviewed and
At UWC.
At UWC. And by then I had my primaries, had my diploma done. I had done a research presentation in the military. So the military had an academic day. And again, I knew that I wanted to see things. So they had a deployment base in Pongola, the Swazi-Mozambique border. And one of my ComServe buddies, he's a dietitian, Corne, he was going out to visit the soldiers on deployment. So I was like, can I come as well? And then he was like, how are you going to motivate for this? I was like, I'd like to know how the soldiers manage oral hygiene on deployment. What are they doing about themselves? And I also would like to know what nutrition are they getting, because nutritional deficiencies do manifest in the oral cavity. So myself and Corne went off to Pongola on the deployment base. We stayed in a little B&B and we spent about 2 or 3 days out there. And I presented my findings at the military research day as well. And then I did a little bit in between. I attended a few short courses and workshops. But from a skeleton of a CV, the university work was what I put down as the primary thing.
And that was your first application too?
My first application.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough that I got it. Looking back, maybe I shouldn't have got in so early. If you told Ridhwaan this at that time, he'd have told you, stuff you, like, what do you know? You know nothing. I think maybe Ridhwaan should have waited.
Is there a right time to get an opportunity? I mean, it was an opportunity.
For a registrar post, yes. It's a fine balance between you don't want to get in when you're too old because life has happened already, meaning that now you're working as a locum and you're in between. You don't want to buy a practice and then have to sell the practice to go specialize. So you don't want to go too late in life. But in my case, I think I was perhaps a bit too early. I think maybe the sweet spot is 30, age 30. I was still probably a little bit too young in energy. And I needed a lot more direction and funneling of my energy to keep me focused. Because now I'm a kid in a candy store. It's everything that I wanted to do happening every day. Like, where do you stop? It was like stimulus over. Like,
do you think age would have changed that any bit? No, I think you would have been a kid in the candy store, even if
I think I would have been, but I think I probably would have approached it a little bit differently. But anyway, that's what I had.
How old were you when you started the reg post?
27.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah.
It's very young.
But 27 is really young for a registrar. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I stand by it, but I think at the same time,
well, good. Well done.
The point that I would like to pass to guys that want to specialize, be intentional about it. Don't say that I'll specialize at some point and then 10 years later say, you know what, I couldn't get in or whatever it is. Get it done as quick as possible, as safe, as reasonable as possible. But I think to be fair, if I look at UWC, I don't have much exposure to other varsities. From as much as they use race as one of the limiting factors in specializing, if you walk through the halls of UWC, it is probably the most representative university of our country.
Agreed.
And I think it's massive kudos to them, because there's every racial group that's available in this country is at the varsity, which means that if you've built your CV the way it should be, it's a matter of when you'll get in, not if I'll get in. And you may not get in the first interview. Look, there's guys out there who've got in at the third interview. look, we have to appreciate that at certain times they need to look at a demographic number, and that's fair, and I'm fully in support of that. But it's not that it's never going to happen. In the medical world, my brother-in-law, they're waiting for reg post, and it's a very different animal for them altogether. I think for us for medics, I think for us as dentals, it's still fair and equal. You just may be delayed a little bit. It's not this bottomless dream that that may never happen.
I like what you said there, like, being intentional about it, because most of the time, especially when I look at the younger guys coming out of ComServe and things, they're all just applying for posts, especially from like our cultural disposition, just because they think that's the natural path of progression. I'm done now with the undergrad, and now I have to, because it's a cultural norm that I have to go and specialize.
Yeah.
They're doing it for the wrong reasons.
And at the same time, also working in private practice, not just the skills, you're also developing your interpersonal relations as well.
The soft skills. Yeah.
The soft skills. How do you talk to patients? And so all of those things do come into play. And I think at the same time, I was reading it in a book recently that actually summarizes so beautifully. And now it's Stephen Bartlett's book. Massive fan of Stephen Bartlett. His book, The Diary of a CEO. Did you read the book?
I didn't read the book, no.
You should. It's exceptional. But in very early on in the book, he talks about the 5 buckets. And every professional in any industry needs to fill up those 5 buckets. And the one is your knowledge, your skills, your network, your resources, and your reputation. And you have to fill those buckets equally and evenly throughout your career to grow. If you fill the reputation bucket too quickly, everything else is falling by the wayside. So at some point, your head's going to get too big and you're going to fall to flat. If you fill your resource bucket too quickly, you got a dental practice with CAD/CAM equipment, 3D printers, the whole works, but you're not executing treatment plans correctly. So fill your skills, or fill your knowledge bucket and your skills bucket proper, especially in our industry, and the others will grow with time.
I'm smiling because no offense to the Bartlett fans here, but it sounds like a bit of a plagiarism on Ikigai principles.
Or maybe he got it from there. Maybe he got it from there. Maybe I just forgot who he referenced. Bartlett does nothing wrong, so don't talk bad about Bartlett.
I know, you got big fans.
Leave Steve alone. Yeah.
Yeah. But and I find that so eloquent or so well put, because especially in our industry, you got a trust fund, dad's got money, let's set our son up in the practice, and it gives him all the bells and whistles, and he's got this 5 million rand practice, and he doesn't know how to cut a crown properly. You have to work as an associate, you have to work as a locum, you have to not earn your stripes. I hate to make it sound military, like so militant, but you have to learn those soft skills and how the dynamics of a practice and a business would work, and then you build. When it comes to, so it's that skills and knowledge. And as your career grows and develops, as you want to start executing more within your practice, you got to go back and build the knowledge base. So the PDD that you did in 2009 is no longer relevant. Because you've done a PDD in implants in 2009 doesn't mean that you can do implantology that's worthy of 2025. So and I think this is where dentistry is so different, that you have to always go back. And this is not for specialists, it's for the general dentist. And now you start looking at the other buckets and slowly filling those guys. The part that you start seeing is, and I've got friends as well, guys that will call me and tell me, I need help with this case, I need help with that case. And then you scratch your head and wonder, like, when last did I see this guy or this girl or this lady at a CPD event? And I also get why specialists, I know sometimes the general dentist will think that the specialist is gatekeeping knowledge and information. Perhaps they have to. Perhaps at times they need to, because you've got a few responsible guys out there who are the outliers, but then you've got a large majority, unfortunately, who are calling you and telling you, I've got this patient, what do I do? How do I do it? And
we were talking about that earlier, responsible learning.
Responsible learning. And man, I've had guys call me and tell me, I want to do this treatment plan for the patient. Can you talk me through it? Like, no offense, but does a GP call a cardiologist and say, I got this cardiac patient right now. I'm thinking of maybe doing a cardiac echo and then maybe an angiogram later on. What's your indications for an angiogram? Unheard of. And dentistry is difficult because we do learn a lot more in our undergrad years than what a GP doctor does. And maybe that's why GP doctors stay in their lane. I hate using the term, but stay in their lane. And dentistry, by the profession itself, does expose us to more. But by virtue of being able to cut 1 crown, what gives the dentist the ability to cut 10 crowns and then 20 crowns? And I'm not talking scope of practice, because scope of practice is not very well defined in our country, and certainly it's not executed or regulated.
Yeah.
We spoke earlier about regulating. This is something that I feel our councils need to regulate. Defining scope of practice and how do we manage it, because dentistry is an ego thing. In my ComServe year, I spent a bit of time with Ridhwaan Haffajee, maxillofacial surgeon in Durban. Another stand-up guy, humble individual. He's such a gentleman. And Dr. Haffajee is an extremely humble individual. But he told me the biggest ego in dentistry is extracting a tooth. And I'm thinking, this is one of the most humble individuals that I know. And he's telling me that he also has an ego when he extracts a tooth or places an implant. I got to check my ego as well. So one, we're ego-driven. The other, we're financially driven. We have to be. So life's gone on. You've got family, you've got parents to look after.
Wait, sorry, you have to explain that to me. I'm still thinking about it. What do you mean? What he meant by that? Like,
He
you
meant that
unnecessarily feel good about yourself
you feel good about yourself.
when you extract a tooth.
You've extracted a tooth or you've delivered a crown. You've done this Emax on a 1-1. It matches the 2-1 perfect. You know how difficult that is? To get color matching and shape and emergence. It fuels our ego. And so one, it's our ego that grows, and the other, our financial commitments in life grow. So now you've got a patient that comes in and you know that you could do 5 crowns comfortably. But now this patient needs 20 crowns. Man, I need the bucks, but I've been doing 5 crowns for the last 10 years now. I'm sure 20 can't be too difficult. And you spend time at the labs and you realize that what the lab technicians have to deal with and how they talk to and how the dentists talk to them. Man, I was at the lab once and technician got a full mouth prep, maxilla and mandible, and with no bite registration, because the dentist didn't know how to do a bite registration when he prepped a full maxilla and mandible. And that thing becomes specialists want to be arrogant about what they do. It's not. Again, I said, your income is governed by God Almighty. I'm not fighting for money here. We're not like, what's put out for me, I'm going to get. We're worried about patients who are getting care that's driven by finances and by ego. The next argument is, my patients can't afford it. I'm helping the patients. Where do my patients come from? From your practice and your practice, if you, metaphorically speaking. So the same practice that is referring patients to me who are accepting treatment plans at our practices are coming from your practice. So it means that it's not, there's no conveyor system from Bishop's Court to Matrix. It's, you're talking to patients, you're showing them the value and the need, and if they can afford a certain treatment plan, then they accept it. If they can't, you have to find a compromise that's not a compromise in care, but something that can either lead them on to getting what is ideal or something that will prevent sepsis and infection and keep them stable without things degrading.
Matrix is the name of your practice.
Yes, Matrix Dental Specialist.
So are general dentists reluctant to refer to specialists?
No, I don't think so. I think there's definitely the outliers who are definitely reluctant. And then you get those that understand limitations and the space. So I'm not talking about, I'm not generalizing. I'm trying not to generalize, but I'm just saying
No
that.
pun intended.
Yeah, there we go, that one there. But these things do happen, but there's that perception that specialists want to live in a different realm to dentists. No, it's not about anything other than protecting patients. And also, to be fair, you've now invested time, money, your life into specializing, and someone thinks that they can call you and tell you or ask you, I need you to tell me how to do this. And you haven't rubbed shoulders with him, you haven't attended a CPD event, you haven't attended formal learning. I'm happy to share. That's why I teach and that's why I lecture. I'm happy to share. And if you had to call me and I know that you've done this, this, and this, and now you said, Ridhwaan, I've done these things here, please guide me. It's responsible.
Do it for me and
it's responsible.
Walk me through it.
But it's responsible and it's a safe place to share now because I know that you've got a foundation for it. And sometimes they feel like, why the guys are like this? And I think it's something that people need to be, our profession needs to be a bit more introspective about it.
There's a new medical and dental professions board that's just been inaugurated recently. And you mentioned something quite important or quite interesting is that in South Africa, as you said, the scope of practice of the various specialties in South Africa are not, clearly defined.
Well, the specialties are well defined,
Well,
but for the general dentist, is not.
yes, that's what I'm saying. The scope of practice.
So it's weird that as a prosthodontist, I know exactly where my lanes are.
How do you know this?
It's purely, as a prosthodontist, I can't do an extraction. I'm not supposed to. Am I trained and skilled in doing a surgical extraction? No. So it's outside of my scope. I don't do it. It wasn't part of my training. A periodontist, maxfac, all the same. But for general dentistry, those lines are very gray.
Well, that's the funny thing,
Yeah,
because as
general
a
dentist-
general dentist, you can do everything.
Yeah, you can do
Everything.
ortho if you want to.
Correct, 100%. So where does that stop?
Mm.
And then, yes, that's where university-based learning comes in, and proper formal private outcome or outcome-based learning where there's some sort of feedback and
accredited.
CPD accredited, and not a weekend warrior workshop of something in that manner there. You got to be tested. There has to be feedback to see, has the candidate learned and gone through a process? And I think that's where our education system needs to go.
So where I was going with the question is that, so do you think that maybe the regulator, that's the HPCSA, needs to define these things more clearly for everybody to know?
100%. And then manage it accordingly, and then consequences for that. These days when dentists ask me, do you think that this is in my scope? I'm not an opinion on scopes.
Yeah.
But my first ethical question to them is, can you manage the complication of what you're doing?
Mm.
Okay, so you're going to do an all-on-4. Can you manage it? And I've done a couple of these implant courses recently, and one of the most beautiful feedback that we've got afterwards is the one guy said, after doing the course, I don't think I want to do implants.
Mm.
And then I know we've given the right message. Not because we convince you not to do implants, but because we've shown you what can go wrong when we do implants and how severe the consequences can be, that now you are thinking responsibly. So it's not he literally won't do implants, but at least he's got a measured mind in this. And the bizarre thing is, there's other group of specialists that will sometimes say they don't want to get involved in teaching at all because they don't want to share their knowledge. Weird thing is, the guys that have attended my courses are still the guy that refers to my practice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is counterintuitive that what the old school thought
Although I've
was.
always said this to specialists, and collaborate with the journalist, and it'll.
But I'm not representing all specialists. I'm representing myself.
I know, but I say this to
before I get an email and a letter, and
I'm
this
just
is
saying
my
personally,
opinions and
like,
thoughts on this.
knowledge sharing doesn't mean that they're going to just take all that knowledge and stop collaborating.
Yeah.
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 I said this to my niece, sorry, quickly. Don't know, a few days ago,
Your niece.
my anesthetist.
Oh, your niece is.
Someone said to my anesthetist, it's like, oh, your job is so easy. You sit in the corner and you let the surgeons work. And then I said to my niece, it was like, you're all chilled about it because they laugh it off pretty easy. But I was like, no, they train there. They're sitting there, not to do the mundane thing of putting someone asleep. So when something goes wrong,
That's
that's when they
exactly
got
it.
to kick in and
That's exactly it.
apply their specialist
Yeah.
training.
And then I think within our profession, something that I've also picked up in the last couple of years, we've obviously jumped the whole thing of matrix, whatever, but going a bit off track, there is definitely a lack of respect within our profession. And it's an ugly little virus that festers there. And it's not acute, but it's a chronic festering of low-grade disrespect within the profession. And no
You
one
mean
talks
amongst colleagues or from a patient?
amongst colleagues. I
Oh.
think patients are still very much respectful to us as a profession. They still look at us being doctors. And I think patients come with their own fears. So I don't think in that way there. That's for us to own. But I think within our profession, there's an ugly, chronic, low-grade infection of disrespect. And you hear guys saying, you don't need a prosthodontist. I can do everything. I'm like, bro, passing a comment like that it's insulting. Do you know what you're saying? You're saying that someone who's invested years to treat the complications of what the profession has done is not needed in society. Someone has oncology and someone's missing a mid-face, and only a prosthodontist and a maxvac can rehabilitate that is not necessary. I think they are obviously projecting more of their own insecurities.
And it's misinforming the patient.
And misinforming the patients.
Opinionated.
But these things are being said, and it's disrespectful. I've never heard a GP doctor say that a physician is not necessary. Because I would look at a GP and a physician as being a prostho and a general dentist. There's a very good, healthy respect between GP, medical doctor, and physician. And I'm not sure why our profession has these arrogant statements that pass or that get touted around. It doesn't affect me at all. But I look at them and I'm thinking like, that says a lot about you, buddy. Like,
yeah, and it's also not good for the profession at large.
not.
I mean, when patients see us arguing and, speaking ill of each other, it just doesn't look good for the profession as a whole.
And then within the profession itself, forgive me if I'm offending you, but I haven't read anything about your practices yet. So I'm just going to talk
please
loosely
do
here.
offend, Yak. Please, please.
But
need some offense.
Like the other thing is, by definition, what do we have? We have maxillofacial surgeon, a prosthodontist, in no specific order, sorry, because then prosthodontist will be at the top.
Wow. I thought the orthodontist would be at the top. What are we talking about here?
In the financial hierarchy, the orthodontist is the top. Okay, so we've got the oral pathologist, we've got the comdents, we've got the prosthos, maxfacs, the orthos, and we've got the perios, and everyone fits into that happy space. Where did the term aesthetic dentist come in? Cosmetic dentist. We are degrading our own title. By being a dentist, it's a privilege, it's a responsibility. A very few individuals get to live out that profession. Why are we degrading our title to calling ourselves cosmetic dentists?
Wait, so hold on.
It's a made-up.
You said no offense to Yak, so do you think he calls himself a cosmetic?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't see his website. I'm thinking maybe
he's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, he's aesthetically pleasing.
Maybe that's where it comes from. Yeah.
No, but I see it and I wonder, why? Why do you call yourself a dentist? Like, it's...
I also wonder that, like, is that a legislated term?
It's
because
not.
a lot of people say cosmetic dentist.
You know you're going to get a lot of heat from the cosmetic
I
dentist.
probably would. But then again,
okay.
Because look, I'm talking facts here. There's no such thing as cosmetic dentist. There's no such thing as aesthetic dentist. You're a dentist. In the same way that
we took heat.
Unless you're good looking. Yeah, go on.
Oh, you'll take heat for it, then it's fine.
Yeah. No. I'm saying we took heat recently over something that's what someone called themselves, and then.
Oh yes. Yeah, it was the way I titled a YouTube video, and I referenced a specialty which
that's
doesn't
not a
exist.
specialty. I saw that as well.
Yeah.
Which is also, I was surprised that you had done it. Because
but that's the funny thing. Wait, interesting story. Remember when we were chatting off camera, I said to you that I use AI to do a lot of my stuff.
Oh, so AI gave it to you.
So what happens is, insight into how we work at Why Did I Become a Doctor, South Africa. When I upload the whole video, because it's like hours worth of content, right? I upload it, I'll get the caption because YouTube makes an automatic caption of everything that we say.
Oh, so
and I plug that in. So it's like a transcript, an automated transcript. And I plug it into the AI and say, based on this whole conversation, do me a YouTube title and a subscription.
So it gave you that title that wasn't a registered specialty in the country.
Yeah, and I didn't think, I should have thought twice about it, but there's so much work that goes into publishing, uploading, all that stuff.
But that's where your responsibility comes in as well.
Exactly. And when that comment was made, I immediately changed the subject. And I didn't just change it and leave it. I made a comment on the video, and I said, "Thank you for the feedback. We always strive for accuracy, and we've changed."
100%.
Yeah,
because see how many comments we're gonna have.
Because these are important things as well. That yes, it's titles, and we don't do it for the titles, but it's also patients looking at the profession responsibly and respectfully. And in the same light, the same guys that will call themselves aesthetic dentists, cosmetic dentists, will then look back and say, biological dentist. What's a biological dentist? If you feel like you're in a practice dentistry in a way or in a theme or in a genre that you feel is different to the rest of us, that's cool, but you're still a dentist.
Yeah.
Your degree says BCHD or DDS or whatever it may be, but it says you're a dentist. And I think these titles need to go. Own the profession and have respect for the profession and have respect for what we've studied for, and the profession can grow together. But if we're doing it in this disjointed, egocentric manner and peer bashing, we're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, so all the cosmetic dentists watching, the comments should be directed at Dr. Haffajee, not us, please. But you're right, we did skip a lot because we didn't speak about reg time, but I'm assuming that was just a nice walk in the park.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was difficult. I had my challenges, both in my personal life, which I don't want to talk about on camera, but it was a difficult time. I actually had to defer my exam by 6 months. And Dr. Patel also retired in that time as well. So now I had lost my consultant in that time. And then I saw firsthand the challenges that happen within a university when succession planning hasn't been done or hasn't been executed in the way that it was planned. Because now we've got someone that had retired and that had left the floor. The other prosthodontists that were from the department were in the dean's office, and on the floor was a bit of a thin space. And then from the outside in, the private guys are happily throwing stones at the varsity, but not realizing the varsity themselves internally, by no choice of their own, have a lot of their own challenge that they're working around. So that was a difficult time. And then Sandile Mpongosi, he's a prosto up here, he came in. Again, he helped me a lot. He shared a lot of wisdom at that time, but because also I was going through so much with everything else and had this overwhelming sense of trying to finish up, that was also a difficult time for me. But I also saw the importance of a network and camaraderie. So, the buckets we spoke about, Avish Jagarpal was a very good friend for me in that time as well, Ashen as well, because now you need to lean on guys that have walked this process and the path. How do you prepare for an exam? What do you do? Like, what do I look at? And I'm really grateful for the guys, and they still play a role in my career, but that network is important. And I think something else for younger dentists, not even if you specialize, build your network outside of your class. Unfortunately, most dentists will talk to their friends on their WhatsApp groups with people within the same experience. Attend events where there's networking that you can meet people above. So you learn quicker by other people, because our profession also happily shares. And then eventually you can also share that downwards as well. So that's probably also where the passion for teaching and learning comes in, because I've been a beneficiary of having mentors who've happily and openly shared with me their experiences.
But on the flip side, it's also very easy to operate in a silo and never have to.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we can't, especially in a profession that grows as fast and quickly as ours does. And in this time, in Reg time, that's where I met Fahim Bamji.
Okay.
Fahim, very, very low-key, easygoing, soft-spoken individual. But I think he was also, I look back now, I was actually chatting to Imran about this, one of the other partners at my practice. Imran's a general dentist, Fahim's a periodontist, and myself. And Fahim, by his nature of humility and also being content with what he has, also kept me grounded as well. Fahim is not a very boastful individual. I can't think of anyone that's ever said anything bad about Fahim, because he's a proper stand-up oak as well. And he was 2 years ahead of me in Reg time. So when I started in first year, again, I looked for an older perio because we work together. Don't work with the perio that's also in first year, because you're learning with him. Learn with someone above, so he'll teach you and you can learn quicker. And for him,
that's the Kinshu principle, by the way.
Yeah.
Bartlett didn't teach you guys.
Okay, sorry.
Where you learn from other people's mistakes.
Why don't you just move to Japan? Do just move to Japan, please. Yeah.
And anyway, so went through Reg time. I finished up. By that time, Fahim had already finished. And now we started looking at opening up practices. We didn't decide on opening together. We looked at rental in Cape Town for him and his family at that time. Cape Town was a better place for them to be. And we looked around and realized that for us to want to offer patients a level of care that is representative of the modern age, and without having a trust fund behind our name, how do you afford that? And also, not just for us setting up, how do you keep treatment relatively affordable for patients? Because you got a CBCT worth R1 million that has to be paid up. You know what it's like. And you have to now scan every patient and charge every patient, because it's a piece of equipment, yes, for their benefit, but it's a liability on the books. And then we decided, let's open up together. The only way we can give patients the level of care that we want at a certain price point that's affordable for us to set up is together. And we saw this work really well. I've been fortunate to travel for dentistry abroad, and we saw this at a practice in Portugal, Pedro Rodriguez, Oral Plus Clinic. Pedro's a really good oak, also become a friend over the years as well, and a mentor. So shout out to Pedro. And we saw his practice, multidisciplinary, multi-specialist type of practice. He has a lab attached to it, and saw how the whole thing operated and said, look, let's try and do something similar here. Not to say it wasn't done here before, but we hadn't experienced it firsthand.
It's not common, is it?
Not common. Again,
it's a DSO, right?
No. A DSO is a different thing. This is basically the
multidisciplinary practice.
Multidisciplinary practice, yeah. And then we looked at the numbers and we're like, man, we still can't afford it. Like setting up a practice is expensive money. And you also want to be in a location. So another thing, how do you sell first world care to patients if your practice is sitting in a corner of a lower income area? It doesn't work. Your practice also has to be representative of the profession that you want it to be. And those balances are to come. And then Imran Mayat was also a varsity friend of mine, a general dentist. And we asked him, like, you will complete this team in the most ideal way, because now we've got 2 specialists, we've got a general dentist, we're obviously going to get hygienists
nice
in.
referral pathway.
No, not at all.
No.
We weren't even looking at him as being a referral pathway. We're looking at it as giving patients what is best for them, in the sense of where see for him for the perio care, but you need a one surface filling. See Imran. Ultimately, we wanted our practice to be patient facing. We didn't want to have that model of a specialist practice where we wait for them to come through referrals. Obviously, we extremely grateful for the referrals. It's what keeps the business moving. But we also wanted to work in this way here. Where our challenge came in is that for him and I have our referrals, and we never want our referrals to think that refer to us and they're going to go to Imran.
Exactly.
Which is, the sad thing is we actually had one dentist, quite a senior dentist. It was sad that he said it because he's made some good money over the years. He lives in a much bigger house than most of us do. And he walked to our practice and he looked around and he was like, this is a cool practice. I like this practice, but I'll never refer patients to you guys. And we're like, why? It's like, because you got a dentist here. You're going to steal my patients. I'm like, that's cool. It's okay.
I've heard that that's a common concern.
I've also heard that. Yeah.
Look, it does happen. I'm not saying it, but it's not something that, I'm not saying it has never happened, but it's not something we want to happen. We still want our patients to go back to where they came from. Fortunately, I think most of the time we've got it right. And I think the patients that have got lost or have seen Imran by an error, those referral dentists have been competent to say, look, guys, I think something happened, which I really appreciate, that they can trust us to know that we don't intentionally do that. And I think ultimately, we want patients to go back where they feel safer, where they feel comfortable, and keeping that pathway for them as a point of contact is important as well. We don't want them to now come to Matrix and suddenly we're stealing them into our little ecosystem and move along. And then,
you know what, you've reminded me of something, because I was speaking to a specialist about this about a couple of months ago, and I said to them, why do we not see more multidisciplinary practices?
because of this.
And she said to me, because the GP dentists are afraid that if we have set this up, we're going to take away their work.
But once again, if you believe in the concept of your bread is put out for you, if the GP doesn't refer to me, he was never going to refer to me anyway. He was going to just find another excuse not to refer to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Not to sound like super humble about this, but I had once I had a patient get upset with me because she was referred to me and then she wanted to stay on to do other work. And I said, you're going to please have to go back to the practice you came from. And even if you want to, I'm going to need, because the referral person was also a friend of mine, I said, I'm going to need this in writing that they're okay with you coming to the practice.
100%.
And she was upset. She's like, oh no, Dr. Yak thinks it's too good food to accept my business. And I was like,
I think fortunately for me as a specialist, I can tell the patients, the work that you need now is no longer general dental related. I think you need to go back because there's no need for you to be seeing me going forward. It's overkill. Where the bigger responsibility for me comes in is that I work with surgeons outside the practice, mainly maxillofacials outside the practice. And this is where I'm also very grateful for Fahim. Fahim also works with prostos outside the practice. But we've never needed to question each other's integrity about, did you refer that patient out? Why did you refer the patient out? Or did the patient get referred to you from that practice? Again, Fahim has that same approach of, what's meant to be will be, or what's meant to come your way will be. And I think in the same way with the patients that come from other MaxFacs to me, they don't know that the implant work can also get done at the practice. It's not necessary for them. The MaxFac that sent them to me is the one at that time that is better skilled to manage it. And that's the honest truth. That's why the patient came from there. Look, again, there have been one or two outlier cases where something like what you said happened, or maybe inadvertently Fahim may have consulted on a patient, or I have inadvertently consulted a patient. We've apologized to that referral, and then moved along with life afterwards. There have been times where some of them will stop working with us because they find that the massive breach in trust. Perhaps it is. You can't take it away from them, but it wasn't intentional. But I think ultimately, all in all, looking back 6 years, I wouldn't change a thing with how the model is. Also working together, just emotionally and mentally, sharing a space with others to bounce ideas off makes life so much more rewarding, and for patient care as well. It got us through COVID. I think if I was in my man-alone practice in the corner of Cape Town through COVID, I would have been a depressed person, eh?
Yeah, but I like it. And I'm speaking from a patient's perspective now. Personally, I would want to go to a place where I can, get everything holistically done in one place, not have to go travel here and there and everywhere.
Correct.
Obviously within reason. You're not keeping the work for yourself.
Yeah. No, I agree. But also just to summarize that whole point, like from a practitioner perspective, I think I appreciate professional courtesy more than I would want to get new business.
Correct.
I think it's important for our colleagues to even understand that and realize that, because the patients will come and go. Your colleagues are going to be there with you all 100%. The time. It's important to establish those relationships.
The other thing that also happened was when, I actually forgot to mention this, or I should have mentioned if I followed the sequence of my career, when we started the practice, so Dr. Patel had already retired and gone into his private practice full-time. And I knew that Dr. Patel was missing. He was in the varsity for over 30 years. And I knew that he was missing that engagement and that banter as well through the days. So when we opened up the practice, I told Dr. Patel, you come here. We had a room set up there. We had a room allocated for him. I said, all you do is you bring your practice and you come and work here. No commitments or no promises that you need to refer to for him or you need to work with me.
No strings attached.
No strings attached. You come here and you do your thing, and it'll be a privilege to have you and your experience here. It was a risk because obviously you've got someone so much more respected, highly experienced individual who's been around the block 100 times over, and I'm still new. I haven't seen my first patient as yet in private practice, and I'm having him here. But if you look at those buckets again, having him there fills more buckets that I need to fill right now, for me personally as well, than any bit of money could ever attach to. And added to that analogy of those buckets, they said if everything else falls apart, only 2 buckets will stay with you: your skills and your knowledge. So invest in those, because your reputation can come and go. That's fleeting. Your resources can burn down. It's all gone. Your network, that can change. You move to a different city, different town. So having Dr. Patel there for us as 3 young guys, I was in my early 30s, myself and Imran early 30s, for him was mid to late 30s, Dr. Patel was 60 odd, was invaluable. You can't attach a value to having someone of that stature in our practice at that time.
But it's also been a common theme from first year. Lean on the experience of seniors.
100%.
Because they will willingly give if you're just willing to take.
Stand on the shoulders of
giants.
Yeah,
of giants.
Kenshu theory.
Kenshu, yeah.
There we go.
As opposed to Centauri. So tell us more about the practice. It's called Matrix.
Okay.
Matrix Dental Specialist.
Where is it?
There's no eloquent or good story to why it's called Matrix. It's just called Matrix because the building is called Matrix. No, we don't own the building. We just didn't have any imagination we just wanted a name that was not location centered. We didn't want Century Dental Clinic. We didn't want Cape Town Specialist Clinic.
It's in Century City.
It's in Century City in Cape Town.
It's a nice area.
Very nice area. But a very nice ground
Canal
floor.
Walk is there.
Just outside Canal Walk,
Okay.
yes, yeah. It's at the bottom of the Century City Hotel, so near the convention center.
Mr. Anna's and Auntie Lou to go there.
Okay. And so we got the practice as a white box. And for him and I, and with Imran, looked at this place and said, now how do we fill it up?
Weren't you scared at the time when you first, you told us a story about
if I know what I know now, I'd be very scared. I think at that time we were just like stupid ignorance thinking, this is going to be fun. And now you're thinking of plumbing and electrical and all of that. And you're like, what did we do to ourselves back then? But ignorance is bliss. Setting up the practice, something else. Now you got this white box and what do you do?
This was when? How many years ago?
This was end of 2019, beginning of 2020.
Just before.
Yeah, that's
just before COVID. Well, we didn't know COVID was going to exist. I was still writing my final exam. So finishing final exams, and Fahim tells me he saw a place and he and Imran are going to check it out. And now I'm trying to balance all this out and figure out what I want to do.
And where do you live in Cape Town?
At that time, I lived in Tiger Valley. Now I live in Panorama. And at this time also, I would have liked to have gone back to Durban, but I had no known network in Durban. So open a practice in Durban, and how does the referral system work? I already have a network in Cape Town. So it's not that I didn't want to move back home. It just felt easier that things would move a bit more efficiently. And then we got a couple of guys to come and look at the place and give estimates or designs, and it had a very dental feel to what the practice was going to look like. Like, I love your practice because there's character, there's emotion and feel here. And we trying to figure, how do we figure this out? So we contacted one of my old patients, Zainul. Zainul is a master craftsman. So his speciality is fine individual wood pieces.
Woodwork.
And he does like many solid woods. And I called him and I was like, Zainul, can you use your skills that you do to make individual pieces to build a practice for us? And he was probably the biggest blessing for us at that time, because proper type A personality under the guise of being type B, sticker for detail. And because he's so design and detail centric, he kind of took everything over from us. Yes, we got the dental contractors to come in and the chair and the piping and the plumbing, but he was like, no, you want your pipe here? I will lay that pipe. You don't touch it, which made life so much easier for us. And then the benefit was that we didn't have that clinical white drywall type of practice. So I'd love to take credit that we spent all that design ourselves. I had a cousin of mine who was an architect, and I gave him the plans. I was like, can you help do something for us? Man, we didn't have bucks for interior designers and decorators and all of that nonsense there. Like, it would be cool.
Who's this architect? Not Tosif Khan, by any chance? No.
No, Tosif, he's a DHS boy. No, my cousin's name is Safir. Safir Khan, though.
'Cause he's an architect also.
He's an architect also. And so I called Safir. I was like, Safir, can you do something for us? And he did it and showed Zainul. And obviously Zainul did his own flair to that entire design. I'd love to say we had interior designers to come and find the air and the flow and the sunlight, none of that stuff. And things came to be. It moved along, and February or Jan 2020, we saw our first patients. And then March was shut down. But in hindsight, as tragic as what COVID was for the population, it was probably the best time to happen for us. Your business plan is to make no money in the first year. You're thinking that you're going to be killing flies all day anyway. So having that type of year was good. The staff were obviously still covered in that time. So we looked after our staff. And the big thing there was that we learned our systems ourselves, because we still saw emergencies. And so we'd assist one another for emergencies. And the best thing, even better for us, that came out of it was that patients that we saw, we'd ask them, who's your dentist? Then we call the dentist or send the dentist a message and say, look, I saw your patient today. This is what he came for. When lockdown ends, please call your patient. So it also became a really good networking tool for us when our guys get a feel that, hold on,
And it's very courteous.
these are specialists. They've got a dentist here, but they're calling us. And most dentists, look, the patients that we saw were not money spinners. You're not paying the bills with that type of patients. But at least the guy who's sitting at home wondering what's going to happen to his practice when he comes back, because most guys thought that they're going to come back to nothing. At least they felt that there was some feedback, where the patients were coming back somewhere. And we had the facilities and the space to do all of the protocols that they wanted at that time to see patients. So we weren't seeing them on appointment, basically on emergency. You saw patients at 11 o'clock at night, saw patients at like 7 in the morning. Someone calls it the problem. And now you're going to go out, because even if that patient doesn't come back to you, hopefully they'll tell someone else, hey, these guys helped me out. Which is something else that I also learned from Shanaz at KDC. That if you see a patient in an emergency and you make them comfortable as soon as possible, they will never forget you. They may go back to their own dentist, but the most important thing is that they'll remember you and they'll always say something good to you when someone else looks for dentists as well. So, and then from there, we kind of just moved along. And I think now, as COVID ended, the company started becoming more active and more present and came to the forefront. And that's where the teaching came to be. It happened more organically. And the way the teaching really happened was, and I think specifically the two companies that I work quite a bit with would be Straumann, Access Dental, FKG, Iverdent, and now recently with a little bit of GC as well, is that as a registrar or as a prosthodontist, they'll give us samples. And I'll take the sample, the registrar, and use it, and I'll always give them feedback. Whether it was a phone call or an email, but say, you know what, I did this and this is what happened and this is how it worked out. And I think the companies did take a liking to that. because they're not just giving products to nothing. And then with this also, I'm really a big supporter, as I said, of building a network, and ITI played a big role at that stage in my career. I joined ITI in 2013, before Edge time actually. And now you're meeting Paul van Sales, Ian Groenlings, Blackie Swartz, Jean van Leerops, Mark Bowes, Howard Gluckman, giants of Cape Town, and if not the world in certain areas. And I'm a little 24-year-old dentist. And to tell you the truth, my first ITI meeting, and I say this quite proudly for myself and for what ITI stands for. My first ITI meeting, I understood not a single word. Ask me why.
It was in Italian.
Oh, Afrikaans.
It was in Afrikaans.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a Durban boy.
Yeah.
But with respect to them, they asked and because I was at Tygerberg and I stayed on that side, I joined the Northern Suburbs Club. I had no clue that Northern Suburbs meant that it's on the other side of the Boerewors train.
I thought it was an offensive term.
I think that's what they call it.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And look, in defense of them, they still ask, is everyone okay with Afrikaans? You think I was going to be the one boy to say, English, please? No, I sat there, so I waited for the photos to come up and I got a feel of it. And then up until I think it was either Peter Wolfhard or Paul van Sale came and they chatted with me. Again, it's extremely humbling and inspirational that these older guys come up to you and ask you, what's your name? Haven't seen you before. And ever since then, there's a table of halal food. They extremely accommodating. It's just a matter of putting yourself out there. Our country is the most beautiful country to live in. And as diverse as we are a lot more inclusive than what we give ourselves credit for. It's just a more of matter of go there and then people will be able to give you what you need.
Exactly. And familiarizing yourself with the unknown.
Well, hold on. And also your attitude, because look, you could have taken that the whole wrong way. You could have said, look at these guys. They only spoke Afrikaans. They knew they could see me.
There's no chow for me here. Now I must go back to KFC and get my thing.
Yeah.
But I was there to learn. The other stuff was just pluses. But the fact that you put yourself out there and now that stays. And this is also why over the years I've been such a big supporter of the organization, because it played such a big role in my formative years.
Then how do you start lecturing and all these things again?
And then with this now through the ITI, you do a local study club lecture. It's daunting. You, again, the youngest guy in the audience, 24, 25, 26 years old, and there's guys who are, I think I was looking at one of my first photos. I'll tell you the story now. But you got a case, and I need to know what to do with the case. Where do you learn? So I was like, okay, part of my reg time is also to put cases together. So let's go ask an audience on how to manage this case. It also felt safer that I wasn't telling them what I'm doing. I was asking them. So it felt like an easier way to get into that space. And another reason why it's such a good space to start, or why it was at that time for me to start, was that the one table, I look back, I counted 200 years worth of dental experience. Let that sink in. 200 years is longer than 3 people's lifetime. Sitting at one dental table and you're asking them, how do I manage this case? And that doesn't have to be a complicated rehab. It's just that, do I extract this tooth or do I do a root canal and put a crown on there? And then from there, it obviously started. You speak at a local study club, and then you speak at your journal clubs at faculty, which you should as part of your reg program. And then again, same with Access Dental and FKG. I love endodontics. Don't get to do as much of it these days, but give Gavin feedback. And then Gavin asked me, do you want to have a little workshop on it? I'd love to talk to dentists about endo and whatever it may be around it. And then from there, it kind of just grows. I don't think it's an intentional thing that at the beginning of the year, I see how many gigs I'm going to get for the year. What comes. Ultimately, my primary thing or my main thing is treating patients. The other stuff I really enjoy and comes along. And then now recently, last year, I spoke with Howard at the academy. That was a big moment for me because Howard was from day one. Day one guy.
He builds you out there.
Yeah. He was the one that called me at that time, and to stand next to Howard and
made you sweat. Yeah.
Yeah. But to stand next to him and talk with him at the academy and see the levels of how dentistry is done in that space, there was a different world as well, and also very exciting. Where the challenge comes in, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the education thing, is that I've lectured in Sudan about 4 times, Khartoum. I did this through my reg time. I made friends with the master's students that come around, and then they ask me, like, the stuff that you spoke about at the seminar on Friday, do you want to come and share it back home with us? I'm like, I'd love to. Like, it's a travel experience as well.
And no one chooses to go there. You don't see people coming out and asking to come give a lecture.
Correct.
In the Northern African
And
or Eastern African countries.
And I've been fortunate to have done Nigeria, Sudan, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Namibia, obviously. And Sudan was mind-blowing. The people are beautiful, like the most amazingly positive individuals, even though the country is in basic abject poverty right now because of the war that's going on and that genocide. It's very sad. But I've got a lot of friends and family of these friends out there as well, and they've had to flee and leave. And that's why that skills and knowledge, regardless of what happens, you keep with you. And when I was in Sudan, you start realizing also how fortunate we are to practice dentistry in this country. But it's all of these experiences together that come, and you start realizing, you know what, there's more to dentistry than just treating that patient on a Monday morning. It's a community, it's a country, it's a generation that's going to eventually learn from this. But what I picked up in Sudan, driving down the streets of Khartoum, I think on that one street I saw about 6 training academies.
For dentistry?
For dentistry.
Wow.
The dental classes there are huge. The one dental class is 900 students. Whoa. It's like an accounting class. But there's these private organizations lining the streets there. And the problem there comes in is that it's unregulated. And fortunately in our country at the moment, dentistry, the education is not regulated, but there's still responsible individuals that are currently looking after it. But once these individuals leave from the private side.
Oh, you mean like private courses and things like that?
Yeah. Let's call ITI.
When you're saying education, you mean
education.
That, yeah.
ITI, IA, Bridge Program, RA, Access Dental will have their private things. Henry Schein will have their private things. And all of these things happen, but we must remember that it's not regulated. So if it's not regulated, currently someone like Howard is an extremely responsible individual. He's going to do his level best to run his organization in a certain way and to impart knowledge in a certain way that's to the benefit of the community. But what happens with education afterwards when the next guys come along, or if other people are doing it purely for financial gain? Currently, the guys that are doing it because of education and passion. And to be fair, you look at someone like Mark Bowes. He's brought international dentistry to SA. He's connected South African dentists to guys like Coachman and Stanley. And it's incredible because if you look at what happened, if you look at what's happened elsewhere in Africa where they don't always have the contacts that we have or the networks that we have, they can become very isolated. But what happens in 10 years' time or 20 years' time when that passion goes away? It's like most things when the founders have the passion for it, and then it becomes unregulated afterwards. And I think that's where somehow we have to find
find a succession plan. Also,
a succession plan, but also controlling it so it stays responsible. It's like
that's what I was going to say. I mean, I don't know what's the word you use, but I was going to actually say legislated more than anything else.
Well, he said regulated.
Regulated, yeah. Because you're 100% right. Anyone in the private sector is unregulated. If I decide, hey, I want to make this thing a dental product, I'll come and sell it to you and I'll start running a course or whatever it is. You're going to come to me. But who's regulating that, what I'm doing?
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's susceptible to abuse.
It is susceptible to abuse.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's there yet, but I think in future, if it's in the wrong hands, which anyone can do, because what's stopping the three of us from deciding tomorrow, man, this is good money, let's do education. To be fair, we can't have all responsibility on the university. Our universities are state-funded. And dentistry is fast evolving and expensive. And
they've got to train undergrads also.
And they've got to train undergrads as well. Like they've got kids like you running around and you need to control them. And how does that work? Maybe, I don't have the answers. Maybe there's something of some collaboration. I know some organizations are talking and looking at collaborating. I think that collaborative space is a good space because it protects patients, protects the industries, protects the universities. It protects everyone if there's collaboration because it's no longer one central kingpin that's going to gain. I don't know.
I agree. The profession needs to figure it out.
Yeah. But someone needs to, or somehow someone needs to take charge of it. So it's a tricky thing, but I think the conversations have to be started. It's like the same thing with dental therapists. I'm not going to ask the question, is it needed or is it relevant right now? Because we still have training for it going on. So obviously the powers to be believe it's relevant, but that's not regulated. Dental therapists I think we're the only country that still offers dental therapy. And we've got dental therapists that are also working out of scope. And we've got dentists that are accomplice to dental therapists working out of scope as well. I'm not saying all therapists work out of scope, so let's not blow up the comments and get defensive here, but we do know that it is something that is prevalent and it's happening. And we're talking about regulation, and this is when we spoke about materials. We know that there's dentists out there that get their assistants to take impressions for them when they aren't around. And to what level of accountability are we looking after our profession? And we can't say that patients don't respect us because we are not respecting our profession. Not all of us.
We need a strong regulator.
Yeah.
And that's the profession needs to make sure that we keep that going.
Yeah. I think
but maybe that's your role in 10 years' time. Who knows? What's the plans next? How's Matrix doing?
Matrix is moving along. We're grateful. It's moving along. We're very happy with how things are going.
I see you guys on social media.
There's obviously things that we would want to change, and we drop the ball every so often. I don't think we expect to be perfect at it. What's the plan for the next 10 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Full-time trainer, teacher, lecturer.
I like the balance.
Regulator.
I like the bit between the two. I like being part of the university, so I do 2 days a week at the varsity. Okay. I do sessions at the MaxFac clinic, treating patients with maxillofacial defects, oncology, trauma patients.
At Tigerbug.
So I like that balance of being in both space. I enjoy private practice. I enjoy the running of the practice, the business, the treating of the patients, meeting people. I can't see myself being in one place. I wish that I could be more involved in research. I'd love to be more involved in research, but I don't think I have the capacity of doing more in that space there. I think where the next 10 years of our profession is going to be one on how well, we respect our profession, how well the profession can either self-regulate or need a big brother to regulate us. And that comes from everything, whether it's scope of practices, our education, how education is managed, and everything below that. I think the other part that we need to be very careful about is clinical practice. Historically, if you did something in your practice and it worked on your patient base, before Yak knew about it, would probably take him about 6 months to a year. He'd need to meet you a couple of times. I got to make some time. And then before I would find out about it in Cape Town, would probably be like 3 years later.
Okay.
With social media, you do something in your practice today. I know about it before Yak knows about it. He's next door to you.
Someone can do something in New York and it's on TikTok this instantaneously.
Correct. Now,
where are we going with this now? Yeah.
Where we're going with this is that because it's worked in your practice and it's worked once and it works twice and it's worked 3 times, it doesn't mean that it's actually a treatment modality. It means that it's something that you've used based on your experience to work on your patient base. Because I'm going to do it, doesn't mean it's going to work for me, and I could have completely opposite results to you. And I saw there's a periodontist from Eastern Europe. His name is Algeiras. And I saw an interview where he spoke recently, and he says that clinical practice needs research, and research needs clinical practice. And we need both to work together. And when we say research, I'm not saying research that you and I do on YouTube, because your research and my research on YouTube, it means it's bullshit. It means nothing. I'm talking research about level 1, high quality, randomized control trials that's then backed up with systematic reviews. Clinical trials and those things, very low level. It has its place, but we need both to work together. And I think in the next 10 years, the business, the finances, the marketing, the ego, all of those things will come to play. And then suddenly you've got someone selling you a specialist dental glass of water, and it means nothing. And I think that's the tricky part with our profession. And how do we control this as well? Because there's going to be more of this coming along, whether it's intraoral scanners, whether it's CBCTs, AI, or just treatment philosophies. And we have to be responsible. And I think sometimes when guys come along with new things, they get a bit emotional about it, that they're being shut down, and that people are trying to bully them into not doing it, but also with good reason. Like someone's advocating a certain type of coronary bypass surgery,
and it's risk.
And there's very low level evidence to prove that it's a treatment process that can work, and it's going to affect someone's life. Like, and especially if I'm financially benefiting from that, it's something that does make it a bit of a tricky thing to work around. So, and I know the universities. I know the guys at UP. I know the guys in fact, I know the guys at all universities. No one's going to stop you from coming to do good quality research. And I think anyone, and my advice to any young dentist, if you have something that you think can work and you want to employ it and you think that it can be of benefit to patients, approach the universities. Someone will listen to you and then do the research. And if it comes back positive, validate that research, and then you can roll it out. It's only the responsible thing to do, whether it's for your children or your parents or your family members. You want them to have level 1 evidence that's being done for them. So
yeah, well, that's food for thought. We need to wrap up, so I need to ask you a lighthearted question now before we end. Something lighthearted, like, so if Elon Musk is right, okay, so Elon Musk thinks that in 10 to 15 years' time, AI and robots are going to be doing every single thing, and we are going to we'll only do work if we want to do work. Like, you know how people sometimes grow vegetables in their back garden because they like to, not because they have to. That will be work. So if AI and robots take over, and you've got
15 years.
and if you've got nothing else to do, what would you do with your time? Like, what do you do for fun, man?
We will always need a prosthodontist.
See, I didn't even say that. Look at him getting all defensive.
No, but like, I think to be true, service-based industries will always be protected. Robots will do a lot, but service-based industries are always going to be protected, and even more healthcare. It might be a nice phase to say that I'm going to a robot that's going to do my dental care, but patients are going to be like, no, I actually want the caring hand and the nurturing touch of a healthcare practitioner to look after me. Yes, we will use AI to improve the efficiencies and the predictabilities of our treatment processes, but I think we will always be necessary. And I think this is where the responsibility from our side comes in, is that not to lean on AI as being our primary source of execution. These are still the primary source of execution. AI just makes it, or technology just makes it more efficient.
The way you asked the question, I can see how you missed the point of it, because I did. Because
you want to know what would I do outside of this?
Yes, let me rephrase.
What would I do outside of this? I would.
What do you like to do? What do you do outside of dentistry? What do you do
I would
for fun?
love to pack a camper van and just drive and travel. I love camping. I love being outside. I love nature. I love anything that's away from the busyness of technology and society, and I love people, but I love nature. And I think if I was able to, the ultimate goal would be is that to work as a hobby and be able to have the Google 4-day or 5-day weekends and enjoy being out there in nature.
And to what degree do you think you're starting to achieve that? You said this morning you ran 15 Ks.
I think I'm still at that phase in life where, as much as I think that I think I could definitely do that, but I'm still very excited about doing what I do. So I will continue working as excitedly as what I do, purely because it's fun. I love what I do. So maybe it
will afford you to do the other stuff as well.
Correct.
So
I think that's probably why I can't do research, because there's only so much time that you have to climb a mountain and to treat patients. In between, you're not going to get all of that done.
When are we playing cricket, and who are we playing with? Who's going to be who do you play with? Anybody? Do you play with dentists and clinicians?
No, but with non-dentists.
Yeah.
But the last cricket game that we had, the names that you'll know from there was Jean. Jean was pretty good, Van Lero.
Okay, yeah.
Howard was there. Ibrahim Faker, the Max Fac, was there. Naeem Mohammed, the Max Fac, was there. A whole host of
and these guys can play.
Well, we had a good game. Ali Mohammed was there as well.
Well answered. Well answered.
We had lots of fun. I think this can be the inspiration to
Was
put
it a
something like it.
CPD event or what?
No, we didn't. But maybe if Yash comes, we can get some CPD
But
points.
you know, Yak has done a CPD event at
Yeah,
the Sada branch. He did paddle.
Paddle, yeah.
We
That was
should-
fun. That was fun. Dentists are competitive. Yeah, that's why I'm
They
surprised
are.
you didn't mention.
It was a good way to pull a crowd for the CPD event. They had like a paddle tournament. What was it, like a round
How
robin?
do you do it?
Just explain.
Yeah, it was like a round robin thing. They call it an Americano in paddle terminology, but it's just you play random people. But it was more so for it was a CPD event because we had a chiropractor giving us a lecture
Oh, wow.
as well with stretching and with our kyphosis backs.
Impressive.
But yeah, we're doing another one coming up soon. So
So that's an idea for you.
That's a
Tell
nice idea.
Ibodent or whoever that you to organize something like that. Let's play
We
cricket.
can
or
definitely do
something.
something like
Yeah.
that.
and then what? We're gonna fly down to Cape Town to play cricket.
Well, whatever, wherever it is.
He's not going to come. You come for the
Yeah.
chow, but you come.
I'll come with the chow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a closing note, I just wanted to mention the only prosto that I've ever had done, I think, my opinion, is because of Yash
I don't get.
and because of cricket. So
did you-
a
what did
long
you do,
time
Yash?
ago, we used to play like cricket in his backyard, right? And this one day I had a hectic toothache, and I'm so sure he bowled a ball and it hit me in the mouth, yeah. But I didn't even realize it at the time. But there was some internal root resorption that happened, and the tooth turned non-vital like many, many years later. And in a twist of fate, ironically, his wife had to treat the tooth, and then I had to have a crown on it. He doesn't
So
know
his
this first
funny
time I'm
Villiers
telling
bowling
you.
style did work, huh?
Yeah.
Well done, yeah.
So I'm claiming from the podcast for
There we
this prosto that I had to have done. But yeah, do you want to ask our finale question?
Yeah, look,
Oh, I don't like
we
it.
always ask this question,
Oh, boy.
but it's an easy one, I think, for you. I think you can answer this very easy. We say, like, if somebody comes to you and says, Dr. Haffajee, I'm thinking of doing dentistry. I'm torn between medicine or something, engineering. My parents are expecting me to do this, and I want to do it.
Or truck driving.
Can you give me
truck
some
driving.
advice? What would you advise an aspiring dentist to think about?
My advice would be, personally, I love it. I enjoy it. And these are the reasons why I do enjoy it. These are, I get that question very often, but these are the things that look out for. Look out for the fact that if you have a corporate job, you can earn a salary every month. You're not going to stress about your income. Whilst we basically commissioned workers. You're month to month. And someone told me this at one point, as a dentist, you'll never know that you made it at life. Because what happens next month? And you can't guarantee that.
Mm.
Your hand, perfect example. We love our lifestyles. We love doing what we do. But we got to be aware that at any given moment, a slight lapse of concentration, you had a 30-day lapse of concentration climbing up a mountain,
Yeah.
but a lapse of concentration climbing up Lion's Head, and your finger gets caught in a rock while trying to go up the chains. Something as silly as that. People do it every day. Be aware of all of those limitations around that. But I wouldn't change it for the world. My ideal thing, and he's going to listen to this, so I'm sure he's happy I won't mention his name, Uwais Adam. He's a dental student that qualified now last year.
We know him. Yeah.
You know Uwais?
We know him because I said in the last episode called Reflections, we expressed gratitude to various people, our guests, etc., and I gave him a shout out and Johan de Klerk, because they had a
Yes.
podcast called Cusp of Coffee, and they were one of the
Yes.
inspirations.
Yeah,
for this one.
he's got such a calming voice.
Johan.
Oh, I thought it was Oasis' voice that was calming.
Uwais' voice not calming.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay,
Johan.
wrong
Johan's
guy.
got the
Don't say good things about Uwais
Johan's
where
got
you
a
hear
deep,
it.
calming voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
So Uwais actually came to my practice in his matric year. His mom's a dentist, and he had no interest in doing dentistry, simply probably because the symptom of what don't do dentistry, or he saw dentistry as his mom's practice, and he came to me as a patient, and he saw the practice and he started asking questions. And the next thing, after between taking impressions for a bite plate and delivering a bite plate, he tells me I'm going to apply for dentistry. And then he applied for dentistry, and the rest is history. So I think get the right information, and when you got the right mindset and you know what you're getting yourself into, the decision becomes easier to make. And the challenge is, choose your hard. The accountant's going to have his hard. Financial year end, he's going to have his stress. He's working in a corporate entity. He's at the bottom of food chain for a long time. Choose your hard. Nothing's going to be easy. But if you know what hard you're choosing, or for a greater degree, anything can become manageable for you.
Thank you so much, man. It's been fun. I
Thanks
enjoyed
for
it.
having me.
What did you think?
Absolute
Is
privilege.
there anything that we left out you want to talk about? Or
No, I think
Yeah.
we covered a lot somehow. It was
Thank you so much for
Really
giving us your
enjoyed it.
time, man, and being so open and honest with us.
And coming all the way from Cape Town.
Yeah.
No, it was an absolute
You're our
privilege.
first like guest that we imported, and it's been a lasting impression.
It was an
No pun intended.
absolute
Alec
privilege
was just
to be here.
waiting to
I
make
was
an
waiting.
impression.
I was waiting to that. Yeah. The generalist one wasn't enough earlier for him. He waited for his finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, dude.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you so
man.
much for having me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Short, man. Thanks a lot.